manufacturing practices, ICONcGMP 2024, organized by the Center for cGMP MCOP's MAHE Manipal. It's a privilege to have such esteemed professionals from various fields of pharmacy and healthcare here today, coming together to explore, learn, and contribute to the ever-evolving standards of good manufacturing practices. We are here to discuss cutting-edge tech innovations, global regulatory challenges, and strategies for maintaining and advancing excellence in pharmaceutical manufacturing. This international conference aims to enhance our shared commitment to quality, safety, and efficacy, ensuring that the products reaching patients worldwide meet the highest standards. Before we begin, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Dr. Padma Kumar K, Professor and Head of PG Programs at MIC MAHE Manipal, and I will be your MC for the day. It's my pleasure to guide you through what promises to be an insightful and engaging experience. Now, as we move forward, it's my pleasure to invite our distinguished guests to the dais to formally begin the proceedings. I now would like to request Dr. Srinivas Mutalik, Principal of Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, and Dr. Girish Paike, Coordinator of the cGMP MAHE Manipal, to kindly take the lead in inviting our esteemed guests to the dais. Thank you. We will now begin the event with an invocation, seeking blessings for a successful and enlightening day ahead. I request everyone to kindly rise for the prayer. Prayer by Ms. Sai Lakshmi, second year M.Pharm student.
अद्वितीय फलदायकं त्रिजगत्पालकं चतुर्मुखादि देवपूजितं मुखं षण्मुख सहोदरं गौरी केदार नागेश्वरं श्री विघ्नेश्वरं नमामि। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा।
Thank you, Sai Lakshmi. Next, we will proceed with the lighting of the lamp, a symbol of wisdom, knowledge, and prosperity. I invite all our dignitaries on the dais to kindly step forward and participate in this ceremonious act. As the lamp is lit, may it guide us towards the light of knowledge and innovation throughout this conference. We now come to a very special moment, the floral tribute to the visionary and founder of MAHE, Dr. TMA Pai, Padma Shri awardee. Dr. Pai's relentless efforts and dedication laid the foundation for what MAHE is today, a world-class institution committed to excellence in education and research. I kindly request all our dignitaries on the dais to pay their respects. Let us all take a moment to remember and honor his immense contribution to the field of education and healthcare. Thank you, sirs. It's my great pleasure now to invite Dr. Srinivas Muthalik, Principal of Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, MAHE Manipal, to deliver the welcome address. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Srinivas to the stage.
Respected Dr. Montu Kumar Patelji, Honorable President, Pharmacy Council of India, Dr. Vibhu Sahani, Chairman, Finances Committee and Central Council Member, Pharmacy Council of India, Shri Harish K. Jain, National President, Federation of Pharma Entrepreneurs and Managing Director, Embiotic Labs, Bangalore, Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal, Dr. Girish Bai, Chief Convener of this conference, ICONcGMP 2024, members and officials of Pharmacy Council of India, distinguished speakers, chairpersons, professionals from pharma industries and institutions, registered delegates, university officials, heads of the departments, faculty members, research scholars, students, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the first international conference on cGMP, a landmark event hosted by the Center for cGMP, Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal. It is indeed an auspicious occasion to have such a diverse and talented group of leaders and experts gathered here today to discuss and deliberate on current good manufacturing practices. cGMP is a cornerstone of the pharmaceutical industry that ensures not only the safety and quality of the medicines, but also the integrity and sustainability of healthcare systems. Today, as we begin our journey with the theme, Think cGMP, cGMP is quality, we are reminded of our immense responsibility in ensuring the quality and safety of pharmaceutical products. As the famous management thinker Philip Crosby once said, quality is not an act, it is a habit. This is particularly true for us in pharmaceutical sector where the lives of millions depend on the rigor and dedication we apply in drug manufacturing, drug discovery and drug manufacturing. There have been instances where lapses in cGMP led to dire consequences. Hence, the theme of this conference also reminds us of the need for diverse academic programs in the niche areas of pharmaceutical industry sector to supply skilled manpower. With the advent of personalized medicine, biologics, and advanced therapies, the complexity of pharmaceutical manufacturing has increased exponentially. Looking forward, future of cGMP will be shaped by emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and real-time data analytics, which have the potential to transform manufacturing process. However, while technology will play a major role, the human element remains still unique. I am also proud to highlight that this conference is being organized in collaboration of Center for cGMP, Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, a 60 years old, one of the top pharmacy institutions, with the Federation of Pharma Entrepreneurs, that is popularly known as FOPE, Pharmexcil and IDMA, reflecting the collective effort needed to address the challenges in implementing cGMP on a global scale. To inaugurate this unique conference, ICONcGMP 2024, we have with us Dr. Montu Kumar M. Patelji, Honorable President of Pharmacy Council of India, New Delhi, as our esteemed chief guest. Dr. Montu Kumar Patel is visiting our university town Manipal for the first time. Sir, your presence has graced the occasion. On behalf of the entire organizing committee, I offer a sincere and warm-hearted welcome to you, sir. I request our respected Vice Chancellor, Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, to offer a floral welcome to Dr. Montukumar M. Patel. A delightful welcome to our special guest, Dr. Vibhu Sahani, Chairman of Finance Committee and Central Council Member of Pharmacy Council of India. I am proud and happy to announce that Dr. Vibhu Sahani is one of the distinguished alumni of Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences. I request our Vice Chancellor to offer a floral welcome. I warmly welcome our guest of honor, Sri Harish K. Jain, National President of Federation of Pharma Entrepreneurs and Managing Director of Embiotic Labs Limited, Bangalore, to this conference. I request our respected Vice Chancellor to offer the floral welcome. My sincere and hearty welcome to Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal. Our Vice Chancellor always encourages all the activities of Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences. I request Dr. Girish Pai, Chief Convener of this conference, to offer a floral welcome to respected sir. My sincere welcome to the members of Pharmacy Council of India, Indian Drugs Manufacturers Association, Pharmexcil and FOPE, all the industry and academic leaders and professionals. My warm welcome to distinguished speakers, chairpersons, registered delegates of ICONcGMP 2024. Special invitees we have with us Professor Prakash Malla, Dr. Srinath and others. Both Professor Prakash Malla and Dr. Srinath are distinguished alumni. My hearty and friendly welcome to all the university officials, heads of the institutions, heads of the departments, faculty members, research scholars and students. Once again, I warmly welcome each and everyone for this conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. We now move on to an important segment of today's event, the introduction of ICONcGMP 2024, the very conference that has brought all of us together here today. This conference marks a significant step in furthering the global dialogue on good manufacturing practices, bringing the brightest minds and leaders from the pharmaceutical world to discuss, collaborate, and innovate. To give us more insights into the vision, objectives, and key highlights of ICONcGMP 2024, I would now like to invite Dr. Girish Pai K, the coordinator of cGMP at MAHE, to the podium.
Our esteemed chief guest of the first international conference on cGMP, Dr. Montukumar Patel, President, Pharmacy Council of India. Our guest of honor, Sri Harish K. Jain, President, FOPE and MD, Embiotic Labs. He is also our center's industry expert who has been guiding us, mentoring us, and who is also a good friend. And also we have with us our special invitee, Dr. Vibhu Sahani, who is an illustrious alumnus of MCOPS. He is very senior to us. Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, our respected Vice Chancellor. Resource person, chairpersons, invited guests, delegates who have come from all over India from different institutes. A warm welcome to the first ever ICONcGMP. Last year, on October 10, we started the National cGMP Day. I was just recalling that 1 year has gone so fast. And we were thinking in March, April, what next? So we planned we should start an international conference on cGMP, which is never explored in academia. Never explored in academia. So I should recall the support of industry associates, IDMA, Pharmexcil, FOPE, KDPMA, IPA, CDSUO. Along with that, we got the complete support of the President PCI, who made it very clear that the circular has to reach all the 4,000 institutions in India, because there is a need to strengthen cGMP right from academic setup. So why we need this ICONcGMP, which is never explored so far, and the industry requires now quality professionals so that we are the manufacturing hub for the world, and we need professionals with quality ethics. MAHE believes in collaboration and contribution and not in competition. That is the tradition we follow here at MAHE. Even though MAHE is very sound at academics, research, so whenever there is a new initiative, proposal given, the management supports it. That is why our initiative, National cGMP Day, got the support. Even when we conceptualized the museum, world's first ever digital museum on pharmaceutical quality dedicated to Dr. T.M.A. Pai, we got matching grant from MAHE, and thanks to our Vice Chancellor who has granted that. I think ICONcGMP and national education policy is going parallelly now. Recently, I was in Delhi to attend the two-day workshop, and I should share here that Dr. Montu Kumar, who addressed us only for a few minutes, but which carried a lot of vision and focus for the pharmacy field. And that message carried a lot. We had a good workshop, and I should share here that we are going to have a mandatory elective on cGMP and compliances. So that is the beginning now. Thanks to you, sir. So we are going to have cGMP in the curriculum soon. We are in the right direction. And today's response for ICONcGMP, because when we started this ICONcGMP brochure, we were a little bit afraid. We were not aware how the response will be. But to our surprise, we had to stop the abstract acceptance date on September 15. And that is the response we have got from all the delegates here. So for every problem, there is a solution. Now, problem we see in the media, not of standard quality, lot of quality issues, patients suffering because of the quality issues. So therefore, we need to produce quality graduates. That is our product. Those who work in the industry, they should work with commitment. So I strongly feel that there is a need to start a specific master's course in cGMP and compliances. That is my request to PCI. I think industry association will welcome that, and it is the need of the hour. We need a cGMP course in MPharm. And because we have critical role in the pharmaceutical manufacturing operations, be it biopharmaceuticals, medical devices, cosmetics. So this is a special request from our side. And then lastly, to share a few words about the strength of the alumni. For any given university, the asset, the real asset is our alumni, those who are doing well, flourished well across the world. So I should mention here two examples. When we started conceptualizing the museum, we started pooling money, and our entire batch, I am proud that entire batch pooled up about 2 lakhs. And MAHE gave us equal grant, and that was our silver reunion that day, 2022. And added to that, when this information reached few alumni, I should mention here the support of Professor Prakash V. Malya, who contributed to the museum on his own. We never expected. Thank you, sir. Also the support of Vibhu Sahni ji. I must mention that without his intervention today, because of his intervention, President PCI is here. Because as we know, he is totally busy, committed with lot of hectic schedules. Even though there was some change going to happen at the last minute, he has ensured that he gets President Pharmacy Council of India to his alma mater. Thanks to you, sir. So in any field, we have quality issues. It can be automobile, electronic, we have recalls. But when it comes to medicinal product, we cannot play with the patients. The patient is already suffering. That is why there is a strong need to inculcate quality culture right from academia. So I wish to end with a quote: you have to be odd to be number one. Winners don't do different things, but they do things differently. In the race for quality, there is no finish line. There is always scope for improvement, and Center for cGMP is committed for this. Once again, I thank you all for joining here during the first ICONcGMP event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Girish Pai. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all set to introduce our esteemed chief guest for this session, Dr. Montukumar M. Patel, who is the President of Pharmacy Council of India, New Delhi. To give you a deeper insight into Dr. Patel's illustrious career and accomplishments, we have prepared a brief audiovisual presentation. Let's take a moment to watch the presentation highlighting his remarkable journey and contributions to the field of pharmacy. AV, please. Dr. Montukumar Mukesh Kumar Patel is the President of the Pharmacy Council of India. Currently, he is actively working to redesign the pharmacy curriculum as per National Education Policy 2020, Ministry of Education, Government of India. And he is encouraging academicians and industry personnel to provide their valuable inputs for preparing a state-of-the-art pharmacy curriculum. He was the President of the Gujarat State Pharmacy Council. Under the leadership of Dr. Montukumar Patel, the Gujarat State Pharmacy Council became India's first paperless registration council. He was an executive member of the Ahmedabad Chemist Association. Shri Patel was the state conveyor of the Youth Development Cell, Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha, Gujarat. Shri Montukumar completed his B.Pharm from Shri Swaminarayan Sanskar Pharmacy College, Zundal, Gujarat University. He pursued his post-graduation from LM College of Pharmacy, Ahmedabad University, and secured his PhD degree from Saurashtra University, Rajkot. He received a Doctor of Science, honoris causa degree from Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute. Under his able leadership, the National PCI Job Portal was initiated by PCI. The exit exam has been implemented for diploma in pharmacy students, and a stipend has been given to all the qualifying students in the GPAT exam by the Pharmacy Council of India. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Dr. Montukumar Mukesh Kumar Patel. May I now request Dr. Montukumar Mukesh Kumar Patel to deliver his address, please.
Good morning, namaskar. I think first time visit to Manipal University, but from the yesterday evening, the care taken by his team is nicely. So I think the program of today for our participants, जितने भी हमारे participation है, मतलब teachers, students or academic or industry, तो he feels good for the Manipal University for the hospitality. Now I welcome, because when I became a PCI president, day one, joined with the Harish Jain, because Harish Jain continuously, we are talking each other for the development of the industry or academic collaboration. So before I became a president, I am already connected with the Harish Jain ji with some other project. So again, thank you for contributing to Pharmacy Council India via FOPE. FOPE is a federation of the pharma entrepreneurs. So many MSME companies are incorporated with the Harish Jain. So maximum benefit we have to take from the Harish Jain ji for the academicians. Secondly, our Finance Committee Chairman Vibhu Sahaniji, Dr. Vibhu Sahaniji, and PCI member, Karnataka PCI member Salimullah Khanji. Another person who are coordinating all the functions related the activity for the from last 1 month, 2 months, Dr. Girish Paiji, and Principal and the Dean of the MAHE School of Pharmacy, Dr. Srinivas Mutalik, and our Lieutenant General MD Venkatesh, Vice Chancellor of the MAHE Manipal, and dear teachers, students, and the representative of the various industry and the academic institution. I think this is the first time international conference for the cGMP, but as told by the Girish Paiji, already Pharmacy Council India is working on the national education policy for implementation in the pharmacy education. So whatever the industry need, already we are incorporated as an elective subject like cGMP, pharmacovigilance, and the instrument training, various new initiative as like we have to more practical approach in the study of the B.Pharm and the M.Pharm. We are already incorporated the things, so because the pharma industry needs the qualified pharmacy and the skilled pharmacy. So today's, the quality of our pharmacists, they are only learn for the education theory, more theory approach, but practical approach is less. So from next year, we implement new course curriculum for the better quality industry pharmacists and the community pharmacists. So from this program, I aware all the academician and the industry, whatever your suggestion for the new course curriculum, you can directly send to the PCI. So we can always include, and also we are conducting the workshop different zone last 1 and 2 October in Hyderabad. We conducted the 2-day workshop. So all region representative, all academician, industry, and the regulatory purpose, we take suggestion, because the wider participation of the academic and the industry leaders, so we can make a more competitive syllabus for our pharmacists. Another new initiative by the Life Sector Skill Council under Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, because many times pharmacists are not included for the skill purpose. So me and Harish Jain are the board members of the Life Sector Skill Council. So in last meeting, we already proposed how can we include our pharmacists for the skills upgrading, because already we have a skill, but we have to upgrade as industry need, as public need. So under the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Yojana, 4 crore was given by the Life Sector Council for the South region, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Chennai, Kerala. So we have to train 26,000 pharmacists up to January. So, and also 20,000 stipend for the teachers for the training. So all are the new initiative taken by the Pharmacy Council of India for train the pharmacists and upgrade their skill as industry need, as government needs. So in future, I think the Pharmacy Council India will start Center of Excellence, skill centers as like a mini pilot plant in industry in every region for the training of our registered pharmacists to make a more compatible pharmacist to the industry needs. So I think our all Pharmacy Council staff and the PCI members are very good support for the new initiation for the registered pharmacists. Whatever we have to work for the pharmacy professional, always they are support and they make a contribution also Another new initiative taken by the Pharmacy Council India, we make a permanent training center because Pharmacy Council India started buying a new property in New Delhi in World Trade Center. NAMS belongs to the World Trade Center. You know the World Trade Center means pharmacist has to work as like we have to go abroad and the work, and we have to make more compatible to the world. Means whatever the practice in the world we have to follow, and we have to make a more success and a more compatible compared to the another country. So we are moving within a 1 month in the new buildings, and there are 200 capacity training center permanently set up by the Pharmacy Council India to train the teachers and the registered pharmacists. So this is a new initiative taken by the Pharmacy Council India, because there is no role of the PCI, but we have to improve our pharmacy education and the quality of the teachers and the students. So we have started this new initiative with the support of the government of India. So we always believe in the quality education. So many things we have to discuss, because today the cGMP program. So we have become a pharmacy of the world with the support of the pharmacists, but our pharmacists' role are neglected by any platform of the government and the public. So how can we perform our duties and morally our pharmacy? We have to make more pharmacy professional more powerful compared to the doctors. So my vision is there. We have to set up the clinical practice in India, because this Pharmacist Day, in all over India, we circulated the Pharmacist Day theme. One topic is cGMP, one is clinical pharmacist, pharmacovigilance, and three type of, we make a vision to the all over India academic institution to implement the same. So I think clinical practice we have to establish. We have to start workshop for the clinical practice, because many PharmD students and the pharmacology course and many pharmacognosy and the clinic, many pharmacological teachers are good researchers for their purpose, but we never implement our further practices, because pharmacy practice was amended in the 2015. The government of India gazetted the pharmacy practice regulation 2015. Till date we have not implemented in practice, because in pharmacy practice already clear cut mention is that we have to charge fees from the patient, but we never charge fees from the patient. We give the discount to the patient, because this is the industry oriented subject, because we have to practice as like a doctor, so we can get a more recognized by the government and the people. So another USA, Canada, Australia, all pharmacists are practices, and they can consult, they get a consulting charge also. In India, some place, I think in Kerala, 1 or 2 hospitals, and Mumbai, 1 or 2 hospitals, they are started PharmD student to enroll their payroll, and they are charging the patient counseling fees from the patient. But we have to establish all over India, because we are not a traditionals or traders of the medicine. We are the pharma professional, so we have to establish our practice as a pharmacy professional. As like doctor is a medical professional, so they charge from the patient. As like a doctor, as like a lawyer are the law professionals, they charge from their client. As like a CA, chartered accountant, they are the accountant professional, finance professional, so they charge from the clients. So all are the category, they are charging the fees for their professional charge. Also same like dietitians. The dietitian course, very less, they are only study very less compared to the B Pharma students or D Pharma students, but they are charging from the lakhs rupees from the patient and as like their skills. But as a pharmacy professional, we have all the knowledge, medicine knowledge, food interaction, drug food interaction, how the medicine bioavailability, what is the side effect, what is the mechanism of action. All knowledge we have, but we never started the patient counseling practice in India. So industry are growing day by day. Pharma industry are adopting the new technology. So as a pharmacy professional, we have to adopt new practicing technology for the development of our pharmacy profession. So we have to charge patient counseling fees. We have to start at least essential drug medicine for the patient counseling to the patient. So we can upgrade ourselves first, then after we can upgrade our pharmacy professionals, and I think we can recognize by the government and the industry people, because now the more importance given to the doctors, but if we start the clinical practice for the giving a patient counseling, then we can get a more recognized by the pharma industry also, because they need a skill manpower. Whatever the pharma clinical or pharma industry, they need a good manpower. So we have to starting this starting from today. Another main issue of our pharmacy professional, Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, IPC, you know all IPC. So many initiative taken by the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. Doctors are reporting the side effects of the medicine observed in the patients, but our pharmacy professionals never reporting the side effects to the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. So our importance is day by day very less, because if we starting side effects reporting from today, so you know the medicine ban in India after 10 years, it will be banned within 1 year. This is the power of the pharmacist, but we never utilize our power and the knowledge for the development of our India. So I think whatever the role of the pharmacist, we have to implement and execute. Then after we can demand our respect and the pharmacy professional respect. So from this day, I always thankful to Manipal University, because my message for the clinical pharmacy practice establishment in India. So from this good institution will start, then automatically some other institution will follow the good institution. Also the side effects reporting in the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. So two main things, if the Manipal will start, then other academics and the other pharma professional will adopt the same thing. So you have to lead for these two things, and I think you will get a support from the Pharmacy Council India, whatever you need. So thank you for giving the opportunity to in the Manipal University for the cGMP, ICONcGMP program, and very thankful to all registered pharmacy industry professionals and the academics and all the researchers to attend today program for the ICONcGMP. And whatever your suggestion for the development of the pharmacy profession, we always be there, but you have to establish first two things, and then after we can change our image world level as a pharmacist of the world. And definitely we have to work for the pharmacist of the world. How can we establish? We have to make a team together, academic, industry and the pharmacy council and the drug regulatory department. Then after we can achieve our goal. So thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir. It's now time for us to watch the next AV presentation, introducing our guest of honor, Mr. Harish K. Jain. AV, please. Mr. Harish Jain is a notable figure in the pharmaceutical and biotechnology industries, serving as the president of the Federation of Asian Pharmaceutical Entrepreneurs, FOPE. Under his leadership, FOPE has focused on promoting innovation and collaboration among pharmaceutical entrepreneurs across Asia. Jain is also associated with Embiotic Laboratories, a company recognized for contributing to regenerative medicine and biopharmaceuticals. His work reflects a commitment to advancing the frontiers of medical science and fostering international partnerships in the industry. Mr. Jain has donned several leadership hats in the capacity of National President, Federation of Pharma Entrepreneurs, FOPE, Delhi, Secretary and President, Karnataka Drugs and Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, KDPMA, elected member of Pharmexcil's Committee of Administration and Chairman, Pharmexcil Regulatory Committee. He is the proud recipient of Scotch Achievers and Order of Merit Award 2014 as India's Best SME. Mr. Harish Jain represented FOPE and KDPMA in national forums on issues like inclusion of hand sanitizers in Schedule K, export licensing and trade margin rationalization. He was instrumental in preparation of the draft pharma policy and revised Schedule M. Jain's achievements underscore his dedication to drive progress and supporting the growth of the pharmaceutical industry on a global scale. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Mr. Harish Jain. May I now request Mr. Harish K. Jain, National President, Federation of Pharma Entrepreneurs and MD, Embiotic Labs Private Limited, to deliver his address.
Thank you for a great introduction. It's been a kind of become a surprise for me. Thank you, Manipal University. All the dignitaries on the dais, especially my young President of Pharmacy Council, young, energetic, dynamic President of Pharmacy Council of India, Dr. Montu Kumar Patel, our Vice Chancellor Venkatesh sir, Lieutenant General Dr. Venkatesh sir, then Pramod Mutalik sir, then Dr. Vibhu Sahani, and my good friend Dr. Girish Pai, who is the brain behind this today's program and the whole GMP revolution which is happening in this country. And all the guests, dignitaries of the dais, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, namaskar and Ellarigu namaskara. I remember last year coming here for that first GMP day which happened in this country, and after such a big program, and this year I am seeing this program has been still becoming bigger and bigger because of the first ICONcGMP conference what we are conducting here, and FOPE, of which I am the national president, as well as Pharmexcil. We are proud to be associated with this prestigious event. And after that first GMP day which happened last year, there has been a kind of revolution which has happened in this country. Primarily with the introduction of the revised Schedule M, which has been notified, although the draft was notified in 2018, but last year in December, 28th of December 2023, it was the final notification came. Now after that, there is a kind of revolution, and today, if you go back to that 10th of October 2023, and today after 1 year, I'm sure all of us have learned in this 1 year what we didn't learn in last maybe 50 odd years. This is the kind of contribution this GMP day has done to the national mindset and national psyche of this country. And this is going to be a future. Today we are looking at, from the industry's perspective, today we are looking at Indian pharmaceutical industry, which is roughly around $60 billion. And what we are going to see, $60 billion we have achieved in last 77 or 78 years after our independence. And what we are going to see in next 6 years, we are going to add almost 60 to 70 billion dollars in turnover. We are going to be almost like 130 billion dollars by 2030. And that's when the actual action will begin. What we are targeting is $450 billion when we reach 2047, which is the 100th year of our independence. It's not that the figures are important. What the Indian pharmaceutical industry has done is, it is according to one estimate, although our exports to US, it's only $8 or $9 billion of pharmaceutical products. But to US patients, we are saving in a year $1.5 trillion. That is the impact what the Indian pharmaceutical industry is doing to the world as a patient. We are providing them the best of the quality medicines which can be available in this world. We have the most modern plants anywhere in the world. We have in terms of number of US FDA approved plant, we have the highest number of US FDA approved plant, and today I'll be happy to share with you that we have surpassed even the number of US FDA approved plant even in US. So this is the kind of contribution what we were kids almost 3 or 4 decades back, and we were importers of medicines. I remember we had a wholesale shop, and we used to, ciprofloxacin tablet, we used to sell at those days when the dollar was 7 rupees, $1, we used to sell at 35 rupees one ciprofloxacin tablet. Today when the dollar is 85 rupees, we are selling ciprofloxacin tablet in this country at 4 rupees a tablet. Now this is the contribution which many of us don't realize. And coming to the GMP, what you would see is there had been a coordinated effort from all the authorities and all the regulatory authorities in concern, whether you are taking as Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, the CDSCO which has notified the Schedule M thing, Ministry of Health which has made mandatory the stability testing, which has made BAB studies mandatory for applying a license. And last but not the least, very extremely important, new education policy, and based on which the new syllabus for the pharmacy at various levels also is coming, or I'm sure it has been already implemented. Now what all that does it suggest? We are preparing you for the future. And when you talk about GMP, there is no substitute for GMP. I can tell you how the GMP concept came in right way back in 1940s in US. There was a company called Winthrop. This example I give at most of the forums wherever I go. From there, actually the GMP started off. It was in 1940s. They were manufacturing a product called sulfathiazole. And this sulfathiazole, when it went to the market, there were a number of deaths had happened. Now what the investigation found out by the US authorities was, sulfathiazole was contaminated by phenobarbital. Now, how does this contamination occur? Because of lack of GMP, no systems of manufacturing, the sulfathiazole and phenobarbital compression was happening in the same room. I'm talking about 1940, not today. So this is where, not only that, the GMP doesn't end there with the manufacturing. What the US authorities also found was, there was also failure or I would say, I'm not getting a word, but there was not only the failure, but even in the recall system of the drug, there was a failure from this part of the company. So today the GMP, when we are talking about GMP, it not only starts with the manufacturing, it also, we are talking about distribution, how it is distributed, up till the patient takes. And today, if you're looking at the revised Schedule M, even the pharmacovigilance also has been added up. Now this is what the GMP is talking about today. Yesterday, the GMP we were talking about was the testing of the product at various levels. But today GMP we are talking about is building the quality right from the start. My GMP starts even before the foundation stone of my factory is laid. Before even think of manufacturing a product, it starts with what is your specification of your raw materials will be there. Process development, what is the product development. These are all very important aspects of GMP, and it has been again part of the GMP which has been notified, process and product development. Now we are also talking about how do you do the vendor validation, how do you characterize physical, chemical and microbiological characteristics of your API and other excipients which are going into the product. So this is today GMP is much more advanced, and Dr. Girish Pai talked about introduction of postgraduate course for GMP. I think it is a need of the hour. I think the time has come. We should be looking at that, and the industry, as an industry body, I can tell you, sir, today there is a huge shortage of people or the quality or the regulatory people who knows the in-depth knowledge of GMP, whether it is in India, but also is abroad as well. So I congratulate the Manipal University for making this revolution in GMP a part of life of everyone who are connected with the pharmacy. Congratulate you and doing such a massive program. Thank you for calling me over here. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Dr. M.D. Venkatesh is a distinguished leader in academia with a wealth of experience in the educational fields. His vision and commitment to advancing educational standards have played a crucial role in positioning MAHE as a leading institution in India and beyond. We are now honored to invite Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, VC of MAHE Manipal, to deliver the presidential address. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh as he shares his insights and perspectives with us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Warm greetings to everyone present here today from Manipal Academy of Higher Education, an institution of eminence and deemed to be university. Chief guest for the day, Dr. Montukumar Patel. Guest of honor, Sri Harish Jain. Special presence, our own alumnus, Dr. Vibhu Sahani, Dr. Srinivas Mutalek, Dr. Girish Pai, dignitaries of the dais, industry leaders, faculty, heads of the institutions, academic support people from the university, more than anything else, delegates who have come here from far and wide to attend this very unique and first ever conference on cGMP, and the press and the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's a matter of great honor and privilege for me today to be present here today at the inaugural ceremony of First International Conference on cGMP, ICONcGMP 2024, and also to celebrate the National cGMP Day, which for the first ever time happened last year in Manipal itself, at the behest, at the enthusiasm, and at the commitment of Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences in general and Dr. Girish Pai in particular. Sri Jain has mentioned about how this concept of GMP, which began in the late 40s in the US, was to an extent in India was in the back burner till last year. That's what he mentioned, and I believe in that. And therefore, it's a matter of great honor and a privilege that Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, keeping in line with the thought and the wisdom of our founder, late Dr. T.M. Pai, of making a difference to the society that we live in, rekindle this idea of having a cGMP day, or the National cGMP Day, and highlighting the importance of quality in manufacturing in pharmaceutical agents. We also had a very, very inspiring talk by Dr. Montukumar Patel, a young, dynamic president of the Pharmacy Council of India. His thoughts on revolutionizing pharmacy education is really very refreshing, in line with the national education policy. It's wonderful, sir, that your ideas resonate well with what we do at MAHE. I must inform you that as soon as the national education policy was announced in July of 2020, we were the first university. By the year ended, we had already started implementing all the provisions of the national education policy. And therefore, it's a privilege for us that MAHE has always led from the front, seeded ideas in the society to make things better for the humankind as we address the Sustainable Development Goals to be achieved by 2030. Thank you so much. Two issues that you brought out, I would like to highlight. Not all of them, only two of them. Something that you brought out was about industry-academia collaboration. I think I share your thoughts on industry-academia collaboration, that there's a lot that can be done together, academia and industry. Often there's a disconnect, often there's a gap, but I'm very happy to see that more and more collaboration is happening by industry and academia. And going forward, it's only going to get better and better. The industry start believing in how academia can contribute, and academia believes how industry can support and contribute to each other's growth and prosperity. I think pharma industry is very, very fertile ground for such an engaging industry-academia collaboration. Second thing that you brought about is about the change in the curriculum in pharma education. Most welcome. It's very refreshing to hear from a regulator that there is going to be flexibility, there's going to be space for academic institutions to devise new programs, to develop new programs, and to bring in, industry experience, and also, very, very important, experiential learning that you correctly brought out in the curriculum of pharma education. Thank you so much, sir, and I would request you to consider granting a certain amount of autonomy to institutions which have done well, maybe the top 10, the top 100 in the country, to give them flexibility in developing new programs, starting new programs. And something that Dr. Girish Pai mentioned about a postgraduate program in cGMP, if you permit, sir, next academic year, MAHE is going to launch this program. And that is something that I promise you. The third point you mentioned, which struck me, was about involvement of clinical pharmacologists, pharmacists in practice. I'm very happy to state that in all our medical colleges, we already have clinical pharmacologists and pharmacists practicing. And all our PharmD students, they're already working in hospitals for a long period of time. So this integration is very critical, what you brought about. This will only improve the quality of service that we render to our patients. I think very, very noble and thought-provoking thoughts. I'm sure we will be very willing to work with PCI to revolutionize pharmacy education in India. And MCOPS has the ability to do that. The Center for cGMP MAHE Manipal is extremely happy that we have initiated the first ever international conference on cGMP in 2024. This makes MCOPS the first pharmacy institute to start an international conference on current good manufacturing practices. The importance of good manufacturing practices cannot be overemphasized, because this directly impacts the life and morbidity that we give to the patients, the quality of the medicines that we provide to them. Therefore, all stakeholders, from academia to the industry to the regulators to the dispensers and to the prescribing doctors, it's a shared responsibility to ensure that the patients get only high quality, most efficacious and affordable medications. I think this is the motto with our Honorable Prime Minister has been talking about, of India being a global leader or a pharmacy of the world. We proved it during the COVID time. The entire world had problems of supply chain, especially with the APIs, but Indian pharma industry rose up and delivered not necessarily only to India, but to the rest of the world, especially in terms of vaccine and other important materials that were required for a life-saving situation like in a COVID pandemic. So therefore, it's not the crisis that brings out the best. I think what we need to do is to internalize the best practices. Quality does not come by accident. This is something that APT repeated, and I'm going to repeat it. Quality only comes by consistently doing the same thing in a fixed manner, in a checklist-based fashion, like the airline pilots do. In every small measure, there's a checklist, and it is double-checked. Therefore, CMP is nothing but ensuring that we only produce the best, we only produce the most efficacious, we only produce the most safe drugs in the country. And we are the pharma leaders. We just heard the figures from Ms. Jane. And to be there right there on the top and to make a big difference to the entire world, I think it is important for all of our stakeholders, from academia to industry to the regulator and to the dispensers and the consumers. We are all aware of quality, which is the hallmark, or which should be the hallmark of any medication that goes into a patient. Times are changing, technology is changing, the newer manufacturing practices will involve a lot of technology. Therefore, there will be a lot of requirement of upskilling and reskilling. I would request the leaders of the pharma industry who are present here today, please use the capabilities of the academia for upskilling and reskilling. We can develop specific courses. We can develop specific industry-specific upgradation and upskilling programs. So we are here to help you. Please make use of the facilities and the expertise that is available at leading institutions in the country. The next important point I would like to mention is about why is it important? The industry needs to internalize GMP. I think to be regulated is one issue. Self-regulation is the next biggest issue. So I'm sure the industry leaders here are very much aware how does self-regulation improve the self-esteem of the industry and also makes the life of regulators so much easier. Therefore, I would request all industries leaders out here today to make it a point to ensure that there is self-regulation, especially in terms of GMP manufacturing facilities. And the initiation and internalization has to start at the beginning in the student life. I'm very happy to see a large number of students at the institutional level, at the academic level. There has to be internalization or understanding that everything that we knew needs to be benchmarked against a standard, and good manufacturing practices should be the benchmark. Of course, GMP also will continue to change. The way we manufacture, the way we deliver, the way we package will continuously change. Therefore, the revision of GMP facility is also going to be a very important aspect. And extremely happy to be present here today. And let me congratulate MCOPS in general, in particular, Dr. Girish Pai, for initiating this Center for GMP Studies and perhaps making a big impact. Last year, when we country, first time, we had a national cGMP day. Now it will become it's a day to be celebrated across the country, reminding us of the importance of quality in manufacturing and good manufacturing practices. I'm sure soon enough it will become an international cGMP day. We didn't want to declare it ourselves. We want the industry and the rest of the people to declare it as we go forward. I'm sure the chairman PCI and the industry leaders will look at it. Why don't we call it 10th of October as the International cGMP Day? That will make us all proud. And also in the short period of 1 year, a lot of good activities have happened in the Center for cGMP, and it also received the prestigious India Pharma Awards in 2023 for excellence in quality assurance. So it's a matter of privilege and pride for us to be hosting this important conference. I'm sure as we go forward, it's only going to become bigger and better and bring in the consciousness about having quality medications, reaching the needy people. As India is already a pharmacy of the world, and we saw the statistics from Ms. Jane mentioning about the impact that Indian pharma industry has at the global level, and more so providing the most affordable medication, highest quality medication to the global south, which happens to be the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. Keeping with that, and lot of reforms are happening in the country, and we're all ready to accept newer reforms. And more than anything else, quality needs to be internalized, quality needs to be in our thoughts and processes, quality needs to be in our actions. That's the reason why Manipal always believes in highest quality of education, highest quality of ethical research, highest quality of interactions, and providing the best for our students and all our stakeholders. I wish this conference all the success. I'm very thankful to all the dignitaries who have taken time out from their busy schedule to be present here today. It shows the importance of GMP and cGMP in today's practice. We have leaders from the academia, we have the president of the PCI, and we have the industry leaders coming in to join hands together to ensure that we do things right, we do things well. Together, each one achieves more, and I'm sure all of us together will be able to achieve the ultimate aim of producing high quality, efficacious, and cost-effective medications to the entire global community. I wish this conference all the best, compliment MCOPS for organizing this. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. May I now call upon Dr. Vibhu Sahani to address the gathering, please.
Thank you very much. Eminent dignitaries sitting on the dais, my fellow colleagues, my dear loving students, a very warm good morning to all of you. Today I am feeling very emotions that this room was our library actually. We used to study here in this room. So I've got only 2 lines for my students, a sort of a message also. दवा और दुआ दोनों का है बराबर साथ. Are you understanding? सबको समझ में आ रहा है? This is a message for all my loving students. दवा और दुआ दोनों का है बराबर साथ. जरा सोचो कितनी अहमियत है हमारी. जरा सोचो कितनी अहमियत है हमारी. दवा हमारे जिम में और फिर खुदा का हाथ. जरा सोचो कितनी अहमियत है हमारी. दवा हमारे जिम में और फिर खुदा का हाथ. जय हिंद, जय भारत. थैंक यू.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have a very special and surprise moment for the day. In recognition of their outstanding contributions and commitment to the field of pharmacy and healthcare, it's a great pleasure to honor Dr. Montu Kumar Patel and Dr. Vibhu Sahani for their remarkable achievements and dedication. To coordinate this special recognition, I would like to invite Dr. Girish Paike, Mr. Ravindra Shenoy, and Dr. Muddu Krishna to join us on stage for the honoring ceremony. Please join me in welcoming them with a warm round of applause as they come forward to bestow this special honor upon Dr. Montu Kumar Patel. Can we have Dr. Vibhu Sahani now, please? Thank you, sirs. We now move to another significant moment of recognition where we will present mementos to esteemed honorees. For Dr. Montukumar M. Patel, I would like to invite Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, Vice Chancellor, to present a memento in appreciation of his remarkable contributions to the field. Let's give a big round of applause for Dr. Montukumar Patel and presenters. Next, we will honor Dr. Vibhu Sahani. I invite Dr. Srinivas Mutalik to come forward and present a memento in recognition of his significant achievements and contributions to the pharmacy professions. Please join me in applauding Dr. Vibhu Sahani and Dr. Srinivas Mutalik. Lastly, I would like to invite Dr. Muddu Krishna, Coordinator of Center for cGMP, to present a memento to Sri Harish K. Jain in acknowledgement of his support and contributions. Let's show our appreciation for Sri Harish K. Jain. Thank you, sir. As we come to the conclusion of this inspiring session, it is important to express our gratitude to those who have contributed to the success of today's program. I'd like to invite Dr. Muddu Krishna BS, Coordinator of the cGMP, to deliver the word of thanks. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Muddu Krishna to the stage.
The smallest act of kindness is worth more than the grandest intention. With these noble thoughts of Oscar Wilde in mind, I, Muddu Krishna, Associate Professor of Department of Pharma Quality Assurance, MCOPS, and the Joint Organizing Secretary of the First International Conference on cGMP, stand before you to propose the vote of thanks. On behalf of all of us, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest. Your insights and wisdom have illuminated our path and inspired us to strive for excellence. Thank you for sharing your time and vision with us. We are truly grateful for your presence. Dr. Montukumar M. Patel, Honorable President, Pharmacy Council of India, New Delhi, also the chief guest of the inaugural program of the first international conference on cGMP, ICONcGMP 2024, has been kind enough to spare his valuable time among us with his presence and share his knowledgeable words. Sir, on behalf of the organizing team, MAHE Manipal, we express our heartfelt gratitude to you, sir. We also thank Dr. Vibhu Sahani, Chairman, Finance Committee, and Central Council Member, PCI New Delhi, for motivating us and for his presence. We are highly grateful to our guest of honor of the day, who has been very encouraging, supporting this event, and shown his commitment to the cause of quality. Shri Harish K. Jain, National President, FOPE, and MD MBRT Labs have been very strong pillar of support to us throughout. Thank you, sir. We are grateful to the Chancellor, Dr. Ramdas M. Pai, and President MEMG, Dr. Ranjan Pai, for their constant motivation and blessings. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Vice Chancellor, Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh of MAHE Manipal for his insightful presidential address and invaluable guidance. Thank you, sir. We are grateful to Dr. Srinivas Mutalik, Principal MCOPS, MAHE Manipal, for his input and encouragement. We also thank the officials of MAHE, the HODs of MCOPS, the whole team of staff, and the student volunteers of MCOPS for their unconditional support. We also thank all the delegates, invitees, and industry representatives for their presence at the inauguration of the first international conference on cGMP and for witnessing the moment. We immensely thank all our sponsors, educational partners for unconditional support. Few of them: Mankind Pharmaceuticals, Fortis Labs, Himalaya Wellness, Cipla, Radha Medicals, Hetero, Embiotic Labs, Acums, Sri Guru Ayurveda Industries, and Group Pharmaceuticals Limited. Our thanks goes to the visual and print press members who carry our words to the world. Our gratitude goes to each one who has made this event possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. As we draw this wonderful gathering to a close, let's stand together in unity and respect for our nation. I invite everyone to rise for the national anthem. Thank you everyone for your participation and enthusiasm throughout our formal proceedings today. We have had an inspiring series of events, from honoring our distinguished guests to discussing vital topic, good manufacturing practices. Your contributions have made this gathering truly exceptional. As we wrap up the formal segment of our event, I would like to invite you all to enjoy a tea break. Please take this opportunity to network, refresh, and discuss the insights shared so far. We will reconvene for the plenary sessions after 25 minutes. I look forward to seeing you all back here shortly. Thank you.
Sì. check. all of 23, newly married, a fresh medical graduate, and looking forward to a new life. Young Madhava Pai had just sold some of his wife's jewelry to buy surgical instruments from Germany. He was all geared up to leave India and practice surgery in Hong Kong. He had debts to repay his uncles, who financed his medical education, and a large family, including his aged mother, to support. But that was not to be. Destiny had other plans for young Madhava. When he approached his mother for her blessings, she reminded him of his duty to his motherland and his fellow people. You must search things where they have fallen. You must earn in your own land. With these words as his war cry, Tonse Madhava Anant Pai set out to achieve what many will call impossible. The seed of Manipal was thus sown.
A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Walking together, we've come this far. It all began in the gleam of a great man's eye, in the light of his innermost soul. He believed that this was his ultimate goal. Inspired by life, inspired by life. For the sky is not the limit, 'cause there are footprints on the moon. Inspired by life.
His infectious zeal propelled him to serve his own people, and he set a goal of transforming, empowering, and nurturing lives through education, healthcare, and banking, the most basic aspects of social upliftment. High schools in every village, small-scale industries like dyeing and weaving, sawmills that provided employment, institutes of higher education, rural banking. There was no area that he left untouched. Along with his brother, he started Syndicate Bank with a motto, "No man is too small for our bank."
Syndicate Bank has got a new philosophy. It is a small man that ultimately contributes to the greatness of an institution. There must be an institution to collect the small savings of the people who are in millions in our country.
He even started a Hindu orphanage during the days of our freedom struggle, as many children were being orphaned due to the dismal life expectancy of just 27 years. He brought sheer joy to the lives of the underprivileged. His relentless efforts transformed the barren land of Manipal to the exciting Manipal University Township. Dr. TMA Pai was passionately driven. He even said all that he was doing was not work, but fulfilling the vision of the Almighty to serve the needy. His sense of social responsibility was complete. He had a belief that the common man had a lot of common sense, and if channeled into productive work, he can be made beneficial to man and society. His idea of vocational training leading to employment was a far-fetched idea. But Dr. Pai was thinking out of the box, ahead of his times. Just like the idea of starting India's first private, self-financing medical college at a time when the country badly needed professionally qualified doctors. Kasturba Medical College, established in 1953, provided equal opportunities for all to study medicine. The Manipal Institute of Technology took birth in 1957, followed by a string of other institutions.
I have been traveling with him in the establishment of so many high schools and colleges. And it was a great experience for me. He was a man of practicality. He didn't want everything to be done by the government. And he used to go forward, taking along with him his followers and friends.
Featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not, for establishing the maximum number of institutions in one lifetime, TMA Pai was a man of values, uncompromising in his integrity and honesty of word, deed and purpose. One of the biggest reasons for his success was his availability to all. His simplicity, friendliness, and sympathy for those in distress. He has set the path of social responsibility on which we are continuing our journey.
To me, it's the most beautiful thing he had done. He never thought that there was a failure. The word failure did not occur in his dictionary. Here is a man that God had perfected. And I always keep saying, the moment he told his mother, Zaidko Ama, which means okay mother, Manipal was born.
Today, as we carry forward the mantle of his vision and values, we remind ourselves that life itself was his continued inspiration.
Inspired by legend, driven by his vision that the sky is no limit, 'cause there are footprints on the moon. Learning from life and giving back to it, we serve millions and touch the lives of many more. We transform, empower, nurture and care. As we spread our wings wider, and we grow even bigger, inspired by his legend, driven by his vision. We can proudly say we will soldier on forever, shine ever brighter, soar even higher in our journey of excellence. Inspired by life, inspired by life. Oh, the sky is not the limit, 'cause there are footprints on the moon. We are inspired by life, 'cause there are footprints on the moon.
All of 23, newly married, a fresh medical graduate, and looking forward to a new life. Young Madhava Pai had just sold some of his wife's jewelry to buy surgical instruments from Germany. He was all geared up to leave India and practice surgery in Hong Kong. He had debts to repay his uncles, who financed his medical education, and a large family, including his aged mother, to support. But that was not to be. Destiny had other plans for young Madhava. When he approached his mother for her blessings, she reminded him of his duty to his motherland and his fellow people. You must search things where they have fallen. You must earn in your own land. With these words as his war cry, Tonse Madhava Anant Pai set out to achieve what many will call impossible. The seed of Manipal was thus sown.
A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Walking together, we've come this far. It all began in the gleam of a great man's eye, in the light of his innermost soul. He believed that this was his ultimate goal. Inspired by life, inspired by life. For the sky is not the limit, 'cause there are footprints on the moon. Inspired by life.
His infectious zeal propelled him to serve his own people, and he set a goal of transforming, empowering, and nurturing lives through education, healthcare, and banking, the most basic aspects of social upliftment. High schools in every village, small-scale industries like dyeing and weaving, sawmills that provided employment, institutes of higher education, rural banking. There was no area that he left untouched. Along with his brother, he started Syndicate Bank with a motto, "No man is too small for our bank."
Syndicate Bank has got a new philosophy. It is a small man that ultimately contributes to the greatness of an institution. There must be an institution to collect the small savings of the people who are in millions in our country.
He even started a Hindu orphanage during the days of our freedom struggle, as many children were being orphaned due to the dismal life expectancy of just 27 years. He brought sheer joy to the lives of the underprivileged. His relentless efforts transformed the barren land of Mannupala to the exciting Manipal University Township. Dr. TMA Pai was passionately driven. He even said all that he was doing was not work, but fulfilling the vision of the Almighty to serve the needy. His sense of social responsibility.
Hello everyone. Am I audible? May I request the participants at the back, could you please come forward and occupy the chairs, because in a short time from now, we'll be starting the plenary session. So it's a humble request. May I request the participants, the delegates, please come forward and occupy your seats. We'll be commencing the plenary sessions. I also request if the volunteers are present in this gathering, volunteers, can you please inform the participants and delegates who are in the corridors or in the lobby to come over to the hall. We'll be starting the plenary session. I request volunteers, please come forward.
his simplicity, friendliness, and sympathy.
Welcome once again to this plenary session of ICONcGMP. I would be your host for the plenary session, Rekha Shenoy. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Pharmacology at Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences. To begin with, we have our first chairperson. May I invite Dr. Chitra to please come over to the stage and occupy your seat, ma'am. Dr. Chitra Vellapandian is Professor and Dean at SRM College of Pharmacy, Tamil Nadu. She received her PhD from SRM University in 2011. She's a proud recipient of several accolades and awards. To name the prestigious GP Nair Award in IDMA Mumbai, she's been actively involved as a coordinator for anti-ragging, NAC, and NIRF tasks. To her credit, Dr. Chitra has over 100 publications in index journals. Her energetic team at SRM College of Pharmacy is working on various projects that is set to go for patents. May I now invite Dr. Chitra to introduce our speaker for the session.
Very good morning to the respected dignitaries on and off the dais, respected professors, academicians, industrial experts, delegates, and I welcome you all for the first international conference on cGMP and the grand celebration of National Current Good Manufacturing Practices Day scheduled on 9th and 10th of October. Congratulations and best wishes to Dr. Girish Pai sir and his team, who is the chief architect of this conference, for taking up this excellent initiative, which is organized with an objective of filling up the industry-academia gap with respect to GMP concepts in the academic curriculum and actual industrial practice. The theme observed this year is Think cGMP, cGMP is Quality. Therefore, this conference sets the vibration of inculcating a strong GMP foundation in young minds. The highlights of the conference are the plenary sessions from industry experts, and it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you all for this today's session. And our speaker today, whose expertise in the field is unmatched, Mr. Parameshwaran, Head Operation and Supply, Apotex Research Private Limited, Bangalore. And it's my privilege to introduce Mr. Parameshwaran to the audience. With over 34 years of industry experience in pharma and life sciences, Mr. Parameshwaran was associated with AstraZeneca, Abbott Nutrition, Terumo Peripal Medical Devices, and currently he is working in Apotex Research Private Limited, Bangalore. Mr. Parameshwaran has an interesting professional background, being a chemical engineer by profession with MBA from Warwick University, UK, and he is an executive postgraduate diploma in management from IIM Kozhikode. He started his career in APIs and then he shifted towards formulation and nutrition and medical devices and was in dynamic leadership role for more than 20 years. To mark a few of his accomplishments, significant accomplishments he have made, for AstraZeneca, the API plant was made into a global site with necessary regulatory approvals from Swedish Medical Products Agency, which is a government agency that regulates and monitors the safe sale and medical devices. He has built a world-class plant for Abbott Nutrition to produce global brands in India for local market, and led in US FDA, Health Canada, TGA and MHRA audits for Apotex Research Private Limited, wherein the current role remediated the site from FDA this March, which builds a capacity to ramp up to supply to USA along with Canada and Australia. He had played a significant role as a strong advocate of industry-academia collaboration and invest in bringing internship programs to build the talent pipeline. His experience is also blended with compliance, customer service, and with the robust skill set that includes program management, business process improvement, cross-functional team leadership, marketing, and with more experiences blended with customer service and compliances. Mr. Parameshwaran, by his distinguishable services, is a well-renowned personality in pharma industry. So join with me in welcoming Mr. Parameshwaran to the stage and to share his valuable insights to ignite the young minds. Welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Good morning to all, and thank you once again for a introduction. I hope it's going to be a pleasure to share the dais over the next 30 minutes or so. And I think for the first session that we had here today, for the launch of this significant program, through this deemed university, and it's a pleasure to walk you through an experience. And for all the students and the audience who are here. So the slide that I'm going to talk about, of the topic, of the assurance that we want to really give towards cGMP. And 34 years has not been a road less traveled. I'm still finding day to see what more I can do, because it's a journey. It's a journey of excellence. And every day I learn something new. And I'm so delighted to share and start this session with this topic on this on the International Day on cGMP. So as I want to go into my slides, probably I want to set the tone to all of you. March 24, okay, the plant that I've been currently associated with, Apotex in Bangalore, was under import alert from US FDA. So we had significant observations before I had joined this organization. And over the last 7 to 8 years, I've been working very diligently as head of operations to set multiple processes and systems and people to get the cGMP to the required desired level. Yes, we had Health Canada audits, TGA audits, and multiple audits, but we could not beat the FDA audit. So on March, we finally, we were able to remediate the site over the last 4 years, and we submitted an ANDA, which we have been producing in Canada. And then we invited the FDA to say that this needs to be a part of our network sites which are in Canada to supply to the US market. And FDA recognized us, the efforts that we did, because when you submit an ANDA, you put all the documents together. It's a huge dossier that comes together. And in March, when they walked in, they didn't announce. It was an unannounced inspection. Why I'm telling you is the significance of this topic of manufacturing assurance. As they walked in the morning, and I was only in the site because rest all had gone for an FDA conference in Hyderabad. And all my leadership team were there, so it's like a risk contingency plan. When all the leaders go, we agree that one of them should stay, and I decided to stay back. And the inspectors walked in at 8 o'clock in the morning. They just asked me who I am, and I had to give my brief introduction. And then the first thing they did is, we are going into the manufacturing plant, okay? And that's where the GMP begins, and that's where, the GMP happens. Because as you know, over the last 2.5 decades in multiple areas of quality assurance, quality controls, labs, multiple systems has been put together, and, the industry has matured to a relative level across all industries. But, now the FDA wants to make sure, do you have the right people, the right skill sets, and the right systems, and the 5 Ps that I want to talk about as to how they walked in from 8 o'clock to almost till 12 o'clock in the noon. Both the inspectors diligently walked across all my cubicles, all the manufacturing areas, across manufacturing, in process, and packaging to look at how the quality assurance is built and how the control systems are built in the factory. And after that 4 hours of audit, the rest of the audit for the balance 5 days, I could make out that with the tone of the inspection that went through, of course it was pretty intense because they're coming to give us an import alert. And the tone of inspection started mellowing down because of the assurance that we provided at the manufacturing space, ensuring that every processes and systems follow cGMP, and the personnel are trained and they were able to explain, even in a local language, they were able to explain, and that's what is cGMP all about. So, for all of you, my strongest recommendation is, when you start your careers, step up to work in manufacturing for some point of time, because that's where everything happens, and I'm so happy to share my experience on this cGMP as to what it is all about. So, one of the things, my learning over the last 34 years is that I'm sharing here is, anything and everything that we need to reflect upon is to pause. Because it's very important to see, things a little bit differently, with multiple things going on in our social fabric, with the social media, with, there is so much of stress in the system, including my own technicians and my pharmacists, who are in the shop floor, are always being distracted with something or the other because of the intense social media inputs that gets into their system. So there is a discipline in the shop floor where we should not get distracted. So yes, shop floor is a day-to-day activity, and multiple things happen in the shop floor. So it's very important that we launched a program like Think Before You Act. You heard from the plenary session previously as to how important it is to think before you take the right decision. So I gave this note as to what is pause. Pause is to see, each letter has its significance. Pause. Look at from a different perspective. In anything and everything that you do, analyze. Analytical skills is something that we are missing today. ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, everything that comes, I see my daughters literally pulling out stuff from ChatGPT. I said, no, stop it, think. You need to analyze certain things that happens, and that analytical skills is what needs to be done. It's important to understand the situation. It's extremely important to understand the situation and also look at from different solutions. Like Girisa said, every problem has got a solution. So there should be a solution. And he is not, the last but not the least is to engage. It's very important, because all of us are not subject experts. Sometimes I go to my quality professional to seek some inputs from him. So it's very important to engage, and that's how you'll be able to think before you act, and that's extremely required as you start this journey of current good manufacturing practices, because pause helps you to relook at a different perspective altogether. So the experience that I shared is, India is going to become the hub of the pharmaceutical world. You guys have got a fantastic future. And as you heard from the dignitaries, we're going to supply to multiple markets. And the site that I remediated, by the way, the outcome of the audit, I didn't say, the outcome of the audit is after 3 months, they lifted the import alert, they gave, took out of the warning letter. Now the site is ready to supply to the US. So that's a big, milestone that we achieved. And why we achieved it? Because, we wanted to be the best in class. And that's the kind of systems that we want to build in this country, because there's no dearth of resource. So if you want to be really a best in class in manufacturing operations, you've got to really beat the best across all the verticals. What are those? So that's basically the 5 P's of your GMP, which basically is your procedures, your process, your premises. Last but not the least is, people, which I'll cover in the last bit of my slide. And of course, what we are all intent to do here is to make products and to make sure the patients enrich, to, increase their quality of life. We are all here to produce those, products which has the best efficacy. The fundamental thing on the foundation that you all need to start building on is to really look at, where that foundation comes. So one of the things that I did, I don't know how many of you can remember, we have this March 1st as a safety day. We all take the safety oath that, we will wear the seat belts, we wear the helmet. Safety is something that we want to ingrain ourselves, but still we are not there where we should be. There's still lack of, that discipline to be on, how safe you can be to yourself. Similarly, we take a safety oath. So we designed a quality oath because I wanted to build a culture across the entire ecosystem in my site, including the cleaning, who are contracted out, to say that we take an oath. Because I love this word. You're not pharmacists, you're pharmaceutical professionals, you're pharma professionals. Though I'm a chemical engineer, I have become a pharma professional today. And one of the things that, you know the doctors take an oath when they start, practicing. So it's a kind of an oath that we should take. And the oath is nothing but cGMP. And I'll little bit dwell upon on the culture piece when I come there. So unless you have that basic work ethics of data integrity, because data integrity is the biggest word that you're going to hear time and again. Every data that you write, even today when you write your own records, make it a behavior in yourself to write the right data. If you're not, we are all human, we tend to make errors. So there is a system, you just put a line, just put a signature and say it's an entry error and rewrite the same thing. That's it. You don't scribble it, you don't put a whitener, you don't try to, camouflage the data. Build that skill in yourself. That's something that should get into your ethics and getting into integrity if we want to really become a thorough pharmaceutical professional. So that's where, you need to have that inbuilt in you, and the GMP should come within you in your own homes. That's where you start talking as a pharmaceutical professional. And that's the culture that we want to build. That's the foundation that will take us to be a world-class manufacturing quality products for the world all over from this country. Thank you. So across all the pillars that you saw when you're getting into the best class, manufacturing, is the people. So people spoke about it, the 1940 example that Sir Jain gave us, it's about contamination, okay? And one of the basic elements is we come from very unorganized social environment from our surroundings. While I was building this plant in Bharuch, that's one of the, place near Baroda, and I was given this challenge to build an Abbott nutrition facility and making, products for children, products for babies. The kind of microorganisms load that the entire surrounding had. And it was pretty scary for all my stakeholders sitting in the US as to how are you going to get this product right. So certain things on the basic sanitation, the basic ethics that you all should follow, because we are making pharmaceutical drugs. Okay, the microbial contamination is something that can come across at any given point of time. And bringing the discipline of cleaning yourself, and that's a practice that should begin now. If not, it should begin yesterday. Because you're all, whichever line you take, as I told you, the oath that you need to take is to be a pharmaceutical professional, maintain a great personal etiquette. It's the need of the hour. Should be clean shaven, should have your nails trimmed. That's something, a basic thing that we all should follow irrespective. And we create that culture, and that culture should manifest across the network. And that's something very, very important. Following that is, rigorous training programs. Don't get tired of training, okay? Even now, at the end, at this year of experience, when I go back to my inbox, I get, at least 10 SOPs that I need to refresh and retrain myself. Of course, we do a lot of self-study, based on your leadership role that you're in your organization, where you don't have to go for a training class sitting in a training room. But, we start self-studies, we need to follow the SOPs. So training is something which once again emphasizes as to what that small c, it's about current, right? So we need to keep updating ourselves because the regulatory standards are changing, the regulations are tightening, and you get different experiences from the different inspection points that come from different other companies. So there is a continuous rigor to make sure your personnel are trained, and all of us. It's just not the people at the shop floor. It's across the organization. So training is something. And what's the message for you is keep yourself upgraded. And one of the things I like about the generation, the youngsters, is many of you are so well skilled in multiple things, because many things I learned from my own, the youngsters, because I work, one of the things I talk about is industrial academia topic that came here. I launched this flagship program of getting interns, and I'm so happy MAHE has been supporting me. The Manipal College of Pharmacy has been really bringing excellent students, and when these students come, I learn many things from them, because it's always a continuous thing to learn. So training is something that is the need of the hour, and make sure you equip yourself with the skills and the knowledge and the subject, because cGMP is something that needs continuous learning on an ongoing basis. Following the people, I have another set of slides on the culture piece. I'll come in the last, with which I'll conclude. So getting into procedures is little bit, looking at how do we make sure the assurance is built in manufacturing and packaging and rest of the operations, because everything happens in shop floor. Okay, the raw material comes, the excipients comes, you put the machine, the tablet is finally made in the shop floor, correct? So it's very important to make sure that we have diligent checks. And one of the belief that I come, because me and Girish Bhai sir had worked together way back in AstraZeneca, one of the things that I believe in myself is, and many of you, if you're becoming manufacturing professional, if you're becoming supply chain professional, it's imperative that we have quality assurance, we have quality controls. Quality is there, they will allow us to check and they give an oversight. But the fundamental thing, and that's what I drive in my manufacturing shop floor, is quality is my responsibility. You don't have to wait for a QA person to come and tell you, you did this wrong, you have not written correct. Yeah, but you are the person who can build quality in the product. And that's something that, you do the checks and you do the procedures. And if you don't do it, I'll come to the next slide as to how do you do it. So it's very important and very imperative that, you start looking at things and taking the responsibility and making sure the checks are done as per the specifications that is given in your batch records, and you own those in-process checks. You don't wait for a QA inspector to come. They are there to support you. There is another eye to look at to make sure nothing goes wrong. But at the end of the day, the buck stops at the shop floor with we as professionals in the manufacturing area. Of course, every day is not a beautiful day. As I speak today, I have pretty number of deviations which impacts my supply. So as a supply chain professional, I want the containers to move out on a regular basis, because ultimately it turns to the financials, it impacts to the top line and the bottom line of the company. So that's something that is there. We all need to we are all here to do business, and we have to increase the profitability of the company, but not at the cost of quality. So what do? So if there is an issue in the shop floor, so there is a process called deviations, because we are not follow the procedures, there has been an issue, so we call a deviation, the deviation gets reported, we found a root cause, and then we put a CAPA, which is corrective action and preventive action, and then build onto the system. So we take learnings. That is where the continuous learning comes through. And one of the leading KPI that we always measure is how effectiveness is your CAPA. If your CAPA is extremely effective, that shows your system is really doing well. So having these kind of checks in your procedures helps us to make sure the manufacturing assurance and the cGMP is being rigorously followed. And as the deviation, so the people in the shop floor also continues to learn. Oh my God, I need to ensure that I don't repeat these deviations. And they take a learning, and that gets cascaded across. And we also take learnings. And this is a very important subject that I'm going to walk through with the dignitaries who spoke about as to what are the things that we can build from an academic standpoint of view, so that you proactively think and minimize the deviations as you step up to become a professional in the pharmaceutical industry. Coming into process, okay? So as I told you, when the inspectors walk into your premises, into your facility, they look at everything. They look at everything, because they have that set of eyes to look at. So they look at your procedures, your processes, and how your processes are governed. Basically, we heard about this. We do validation, because if you want to really set the process to run in your shop floor, we need to ensure your procedures are well validated. And that's a collective collaboration. In fact, one of the extensions that I have is many of this validation piece is done by engineering department. So how much of this pharmaceutical knowledge, pharmaceutical validation can be built into their curriculum? And that's something I'm going to work through in my networking, as a part of my next stage of my career, is to see how do we blend this together? Because sometimes engineers don't understand certain basic concepts. But today we do have systems, so when they get into the pharmaceutical industry, they go through these basic things, and you as pharmacist professional can enable them to build those systems and ensure the validation becomes right. And we do equipment validation, we do facility qualification, there is installation qualification, there is operational qualification. There are multiple things that we need to do to make sure the assurance is built. But at the end of the day, the technicians need to run the equipment, make sure the facility is meeting the requirements, and able to build the cGMP into the system. Last two slides on a couple of other areas is to look at, is my house in order? Okay, it's just not you build some nice suites here, put the compression machine, put the packaging machines. No, it's about the premises. Is your facility designed to avoid any cross-contamination? Is it free of, cobwebs and insects and rodents and everything? Because you are doing a pharmaceutical product. And I somehow it's in my DNA that, when I see anything, if there is a compromise on gaps in the dose and, something gets into the system, I think my blood boils to another level, and we have put in multiple process and systems. And as you know, as I told you, we have a very different ecosystem outside our building. So we just to make sure that the building, the facility, and the premises is world-class, because when somebody walks into your home, when a guest comes, how much of housekeeping you do to make sure the guest comes in and feels good and goes back. That's the kind of a level we need to build on our premises to make sure if anybody walks into your facility, because the patient out in the US trusts you to take your medicines because he or she wants to have a better quality of life. When he or she comes to know it's built in such a kind of a facility, 50% of his or her disease gets over, and they feel that comfort. So you just got to make sure the facilities are also, the premises is built with the best design to make sure there is no gap, and all these areas. So it's just, when you sometimes talk about shop floor, people think it's only for the pharmacist and the people in the shop floor who are making the medicines is where the cGMP is. But no, the cGMP is across all these areas, and we had to build in to make sure contractors who come, we have contractors who are come whom we train to make sure they maintain certain base, because they all deal with cement and other things. But we have certain procedures, they undergo those changes, they do the gowning when they go and work in such clean areas, because fundamentally they should know, and we give them training because they think, okay, it's another company, another hall, we have to just go put the nut and bolt. Sorry, there is a procedure. So that's the level of GMP that we need to imbibe in those unorganized, unskilled workers when they come to you. That's the knowledge you as pharmacists can enable them and give them the 2 cents saying, hey, no, this is a pharmaceutical plant, and you need to have this basic gowning stuff and get into site when you have to fix something, because it's a running plant, and I need somebody to come and fix, certain pipe gets damaged or certain leak is there. So it's very evident to see how much of this GMP can be inculcated in your DNA level, and that's where you have to look at just not the shop floor, you need to look at the entire value stream that is there in a pharmaceutical industry. That's what this slide covers. And to cut short the first part of my slide is to say that when you look at cGMP, look at holistically, look at everything. Second thing is this GMP that needs to start after your academics is over and after you pass out and when you get into a job? Sorry, can it be inbuilt now? Can you start thinking it now? And can it become a quality? Can it become a kind of a DNA within you to make sure that you take this oath as a pharmaceutical professional saying that me will follow this basic GMP and will ensure that as a pharmaceutical professional, I shall ensure quality products is produced by me at any given point of time during my career as a pharmaceutical profession. So that's the first part to cover the 5 P's of the GMP that governs from a manufacturing assurance. The second piece, which you all heard even from the previous session, and I'm a very strong advocate, is at the end of the day, pharmaceutical 4.0, industrial 4.0 revolution, artificial intelligence, machine learning, we have lab information management systems, we have digital batch records, we have e-logbooks, we have so many initiatives that are going, in the scale of, I don't know to what scale it goes up, how much of $1 million we are investing on our GIS. Yes, the bottom line is we cannot eliminate the human element. And all of us as human have that, basic thing to look at. You heard from our Vice Chancellor taking the checkbox that every pilot or every co-pilot does it. There is a basic checklist. And how do you ensure that you don't compromise on that? And that needs to be done manually. So that needs the culture. So basically, I would like to cover, last but not the least is the products. I'm not covering through this. I want to get into the culture piece, because here it's about all of us can achieve more. And what does it mean? So it's a commitment. So when you look at an organization, okay, and when you're building your quality journey towards, all this organization in India today are maturing towards building world-class facility. So there is management commitment, there is leadership commitment, there are very good work environment that the companies are creating, and also, the values and behaviors, it comes to all of us. When you call management, it's just not the top bosses, it's all of us put together. And how we can make this change, because as we step into, 100 years of our independence, celebrations, and as we are setting up to move towards that $1 billion business growth, and as you see more and more products getting produced in India, more and more ANDAs getting, submitted from India, this is the country, the happening place where we can set this bar ahead, and how this can be done. So basically, when you look at the culture, how many of you remember this word Gemba? I don't know, but Gemba is a word where you go to the place where the things are happening. This is something I have built this culture over the last 5 years. So all of us, sometimes when you get into a leadership position, one of the learning that I was mentored when I was getting groomed in AstraZeneca days is, my managing director at that point of time said, Param, you're going towards a higher role, which means you are at 30,000 feet, looking at strategy, looking at business growth, everything. But make sure you go down into the floor and spend time there and get back, because you need to run the business, but you also need to know what is happening. That's Gemba. And I make it a point, because shop floor is one area, gives me an adrenaline rush, because multiple things happen there. And the kind of feel that you can get, the confidence that you can give, that you are there with them, and if there is a quality issue, you discuss, you make a transparent communication, you raise the deviation, but you don't victimize the individual. That's the pharmaceutical professional culture that we need to build, because people are going to make errors. And that's where, India is known. I don't know how many of you have gone through some of the 483s. Sometimes our data integrity, because we have this habit, it's okay, parvagilla, adjust madana, it's okay, chalta hai. No, sorry. I think we should mature from that space and build a culture of transparency and not victimization. If a technician does a mistake, allow him to report it, and there is a procedure to retrain and requalify, recheck the process, revalidate it. There are multiple things the regulation gives us. So let's leverage that, and that's Gemba. And as you be there, people become more comfortable and able to talk through. And that's how we encourage people to talk. Very important thing is to build a GMP culture, to make sure that people understand the current GMP practices, is to have this conversation. Because we get a lot of updates, and how much of it gets cascaded down to them, and that enabling them to build that kind of an infrastructure and able to take them to the next level, that's what is important. When we call right first time, okay, that's where, every day morning when I wake up today morning, what is that adrenaline rush that gives me? One thing that gives me is, some patient in Canada is going to have my atorvastatin and is at comfort, because I'm making the product with the best quality and assures that patient is going to have a better quality of life. That gives me a push. And for that, what do? I make sure I follow the good documentation practices, good laboratory practices, good warehouse practices, and that's GMP. So when you look at GMP, it's widespread across all areas. Everything is good. And as you start stepping in, okay, there are multiple functions. So I keeping hearing this, in my teams and in my, so it's a quality assurance job. There are in-process QA checks. Please ask them to do it. Sorry, we as a collective site, we are responsible. Today, if somebody asks us to where the product is coming from Apotex. So when Apotex is one voice for the customer, so I cannot say it was IPQS problem, sorry. So it's very important to have this cross-functional collaboration, and many a times it's important to measure. Unless you measure, you don't get it. So we set up very, very leading KPIs to make sure, and the leading KPIs doesn't remain at the top. We make sure that it is seen by the technician and he or she understands what is his impact, while working on the shop floor. That's how the GMP is built into the system. So one of the frameworks that we have been working through, we did this for the safety, and we are expanding this to the quality, is to look at the CLAP model. It's very simple to, say that, when you say CLAP, because all of us are quite familiar with the CLAP. So basically what is CLAP is to communicate. Basically to communicate on, the good practices that the company has and how do we leverage them. When new entrants come, we talk about our quality systems, our quality procedures, our policies, and make sure they get involved in that. Second thing is to, continue to learn, because it's as I mentioned to you, it's a continuous learning. Quality is a journey. Quality is excellency. We cannot get perfect, but it's a continuous improvement that we need to have, and also leverage best practices. We continue to, discuss with many industries, and we are quite open. Of course, there are certain trade secrets with respect to products, but we don't talk about, when you talk about quality systems, there are certain commonalities that we share and learn and acknowledge. Because some of the best practices that we do have quality ambassador programs, where we nominate people who demonstrate quality day to day, and they become our ambassadors. So they talk to the other colleagues, and that's how it gets cross-pollinated. And people and practices. So that's how it basically, the CLAP model is all about, to make sure that the engagement is there right across all levels, and it's just not restricted to the permanent people who are making the products. We also discuss with the supporting staff, with the contract staff, because my housekeeping lady is very directly responsible to keep my premises ready, and she needs to understand what is GMP. So we talk to her in her language to make sure as to what the type of company we are in. So she gets it, and today, when you walk into my facility, you can see, feel, and hear quality across the site. So that's basically, we need to work on our people and resources to make sure GMP is there across. So what's a basic approach that we have to secure GMP, and how do we cross-pollinate this, and how do we make sure this is embedded in our breath? That's how I put GMP as. GMP is to be like, okay, if I stop my breath, do you think you have a life to lead? No. GMP for a pharmaceutical professional is as good as his or her breath. So basically is try to understand, listen, and have continuous improvements. GMP cannot be pushed. GMP should be a culture. So don't become, don't take that Hitler stand to impart GMP. GMP is something that you need to build a culture. Definitely, you should start appreciating certain good behaviors and good, work towards GMP. Make it as a habit. As you're all going to become leaders down the line, make it as a habit to encourage, reward, and recognize good practices. And make sure that, as I told you, many of you will take different roles in different functions. But remember, everything that happens is in the shop floor. So go to shop floor. I tell even my QA, my QC, my supply chain people, I make everybody, have meetings in the shop floor, because that's where everything is happening. Try to understand the problems in the shop floor. So it becomes much easier to make sure that we don't compromise by anything, and we build onto the systems. Engage, and also, make sure that we put the right practices in place to build that quality culture. Quality culture is essential to build a strong GMP. And see, feel, and hear. That's what we do. As leaders, we continue to see, we continue to feel, continue to. So sometimes, while I was, looking at few interns, excellent example. So this was some college, I don't remember on the top of my head. So the quality of the student who came for the interview was so bad, I outrightly rejected, because basically, though both these students have taken pharma as their professional, but they didn't have this basic mindset to understand what quality is. I said, sorry, I cannot take you for internship. And they literally pleaded me, no, sir, I'll make this change. But no, I'm sorry, you're not able to get. They were in third year or fourth year, and they were coming for a small, 1 month course. I said, sorry, I cannot take you. Irrespective of training, they were not able to get fundamental thing, including their clothing. So that's what I'm telling you. Build that culture now. Make it a habit now, and that's going to make you a successful pharmaceutical professional. And as I told you, it's very important, we being doctors, we heard in the plenary session, the doctors continue to learn. They continue to, seek information. There are, workshops that undergo. We as pharmaceutical professionals, we are nothing less. We also need to have that constant learning, unlearning, and relearning, because we always need to refresh, because the current good manufacturing practices is always changing, will undergo change, and that's fundamentally where we need to continue to learn and experience and enrich cGMP. Make cGMP a habit. Even if you're in your hostel, keep the things, 5 years. I don't know how many of you know 5 years. Keep the things sorted, keep it nice, keep it. So you get a feeling that everything is organized. That's GMP. Can it start in your hostel room? Can you start making it in your DNA? Can you start looking cGMP from this perspective, from now, here, and make sure that you see, feel, and hear about it to make yourself a fantastic pharmaceutical professionals setting. You're the ones who will see 2047 to see this country making those billions and billions of dollars, supplying the world-class products from the best manufacturing facility in India. And I'll be happy to, maybe I would have retired and, maybe I don't know where I'll be, but something that I truly see with the kind of work that the councils are doing, and I'm going to be part of that, I'm going to take up certain assignments on that, and I'm so happy to see if this industry academia experience can be taken and we build these professionals to take it to the next level. That will be the ultimate dream that we as leaders from the industry can always, thrive for. Thank you once again for a patient hearing. Probably I'm opening the floor for any questions. And with that, probably once again, a big thank you. And I'm so glad that I'm able to set the tone for this international conference of cGMP. Thank you very much.
Now the session is open for interaction. Audience, if you have any clarifications with the speaker, you can interact.
Yes, sir. Probably I will thank you for your compliments, and yeah, that's something in my DNA, and I'll continue to strive for it. With regard to this collaboration, of course, from my own experience, what I definitely can take the last batch of interns who came from MAHE. So this girl, who took a project in our packaging development, and I was just interacting with her because I spent a lot of time with these interns. So I asked her, as to what are you learning in theory and what are you seeing here? She says, sir, one thing is what we learned in theory is totally different than what we are seeing here in the factory. And packaging development is something I have never learned. I don't know what is packaging development. I don't know. Nothing has been taught to us. One example I'm just trying to give you. And that actually opened me a Pandora's box. I said, okay, so I just took this small element of packaging element, and I look at the entire value stream that we do. And I think when you look at the academy, that's what I was working with Girish sir also, the last 4 months, but it's been on and off, is to see what is the curriculum that composes of, and we have the NEP coming up through as to, and what are the practical things that we can do. We heard from the panel today morning is that they want to create a pilot plant. So creating the skills, because certain things you need to dirty your hands. So these are some of the examples where we from the industry can provide you, and we build that curriculum so that they just not learn the theory, they also learn the practical aspect of it. So couple of things can be the soft skills of building the culture, and the second thing is probably look at certain practical elements and associated theory with that so that they can take it as an elective and come. So they are prepared to get into the industry. Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to thank Dr. Parameswaran sir for giving valuable insights And because of the time lag, we regret to inform like we are unable to take up further questions. And if the audience have more than some questions, you can just share it with your feedback forms, or else you can mail to sir for getting more clarifications. Thank you, sir, for sharing
you.
your
Thank you
valuable
once again.
insights. Thank you.
May I request Professor P.V. Malya to come onto the dais, please, to hand over a token of appreciation to our resource person, Dr. Parameshwaran, and also to offer a memento to our chairperson, Dr. Chitra. Thank you, ma'am. You moderated well. Of course, there are. Thank you so much. Our next chairperson, Dr. Sneha Lata. May I request you, ma'am, to please come onto the stage. Let me introduce this August gathering, our chairperson, Dr. Sneha Lata, who is a professor and head at the Department of Pharmaceutics at SJM College of Pharmacy, Chitradurga. She received her doctorate from Acharya Nagarjuna University in 2014. She has published several publications in journals of repute. Dr. Snehalata has published a book on pharmacovigilance as per PCI regulations. She's played a significant role in conducting public health awareness programs in and around Chitradurga. Dr. Snehalata is a domain expert in formulation of orodispersible tablets. Ma'am, may I request you to introduce our resource person and start off the session. Thank you so much.
Greetings to all the dignitaries, staff members, industry personalities, and student delegates present over here. The first international conference on cGMP, that is ICONcGMP 2024, provides an important platform for advancing quality in pharmaceutical manufacturing. It is my immense pleasure to introduce Mr. Rajesh Pai, a highly respected pharmaceutical consultant based in South Africa, with over 25 years of experience in both sterile and non-sterile dosage forms, handling potent products and advanced technologies like form fill seal processes and lyophilization. He has been instrumental in the design and technology transfer of multiple greenfield pharmaceutical facilities, ensuring compliance with significant GMP standards from various regulatory bodies, including the US FDA and WHO. As a dedicated member of ISPE and PDA, Rajesh stays at the forefront of industry developments. In addition to his consulting work, he lectures on GMP at the University of Wits and actively participates in forums such as Clean Room Forum. Additionally, he has an upcoming poster presentation on PDA, Pharmaceutical Microbiology Conference 2024, showcasing his research on microbial testing of purified water. I'm privileged to have Rajesh Pai, alumni of MAHE. He is here with us today to share his insights and expertise. I would like to welcome Mr. Rajesh Pai, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Snelata ma'am. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಮಣಿಪಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ? Good morning. Kuyamora, am I audible to you? I hope I am audible to you.
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks, Dr. Snelata Madam, once again for the warm introduction and setting the stage for the next topic. It's my honor and privilege to be part of this great event, which is a GMP conference. 2024 is the first international conference. It's my privilege to be part of this great event. I'm excited to share my topic, that is GMP and analytical assurance, for this session. Due to the time constraints, I will go through pick very specific slides and talk through that, but I will retain all the contents as part of slide to explore further if someone is interested to do so. So before diving into the topic, in general, what is that we normally come across? I hope you agree with me. There will be abundance of high-end information floating around, but noticeable shortage of fundamental and basic knowledge. That is what we lack. So therefore, as part of this session, I will touch base some of the very key fundamental elements of pharmaceutical quality control laboratory. Let us look at the content. As part of this session, we will quickly discuss what is the purpose of a quality control laboratory in pharmaceutical environment, how the different spaces have been organized within the laboratory, what is analytical quality assurance, why it is important, what role does it play in assuring product quality and patient safety, and let's touch base on some of the fundamental elements of laboratory systems and equipment and instruments, such as volumetric glasswares. What are the different types of glasswares? And water, we very well know, and what are the types of water to be used in pharmaceutical manufacturing. But when it comes to the laboratory, what are the grade of water to be used? Let's see, what does the standard say? What are the fundamentals about analytical balances and weights? What are the standards regulates these things? Sampling of starting materials and packaging materials, and the hot burning issue, data integrity in the pharmaceutical setup. That is what is the hot burning issue in the today's environment. And reference substances and reagents. These are some of the key elements which I will touch base as we go through the presentation. For the purpose of this presentation, some of the key references which have been used are ASTM standard, which speaks about balances and scales and glasswares and weights. EMA guide on ALCOA principles. ISP good practice on quality control laboratories. OIML standard on balances and weights. And the few guidelines on data integrity, that is on PDA technical report, US FDA guide, and UK MHRA guide on data integrity principles, and the WHO guides on quality control GMP. And these are some of the key guides or the technical publications which I referred for the purpose of this compilation of session. So first, let us look at what is the purpose of a laboratory in a pharmaceutical setup. We all know quality control laboratory's main function is test the samples, isn't it? So the purpose of a laboratory is support execution of testing that assures the clean room environment is maintained fit for intended purpose. And the starting materials, when we say starting materials, it is API, IPI, and excipient. There is no discrimination. All are starting materials. Quality of all the materials are very critical. Packaging materials, especially primary packaging materials, intermediates and products meet the identity, purity, safety, efficacy of the products as per the approved regulatory registered file. It doesn't end there. The systems in the quality control laboratory should be good enough to detect any OOS. It is not necessary that whatever is tested is passing. So it is very important that system what has been put in the lab is good enough to detect any out of specification. Why? To eliminate the risk to the patient safety. That is the key element. It is not just only testing and testing. There should be a system in place to detect an error and out of specification. So how does the spaces and organized within a laboratory? Generally in a pharmaceutical quality lab, there will be a general testing laboratory, which we also call a sweat chemistry lab, where there will be a solvent store, wash place, fume hoods to handle all the strong acids and whatever the chemicals fume, analytical balance room, then an instrumentation room where we'll have all high-end instruments for quantitative testing, space for storage of samples, retention samples, reference samples, samples awaiting for testing, stability chambers and different stability chambers with the different climatic zones depending upon the product is registered and distributed to which country, and a microbiology laboratory. And a microbiology laboratory normally includes a media preparation room, a suite for bioburden testing or a MLT testing, a suite for sterility testing, and a dedicated suite for handling live reference cultures. That is where containment is a very key there. We don't want the live bugs to escape from the area and contaminate entire facility. So that has to be designed very well with the containment, biosafety cabinet, etc. And a space for incubator and refrigerators to incubate all these samples which are handled in the quality control. So this is what is the normal contents of a quality control laboratory in the pharmaceutical environment. So what are the functions of a laboratory? Generally, what happens in the laboratory? There will be sampling, samples will be received, it will be logged as soon as received, it will be staged, still it is the schedule for analysis, the analyst will be identified, a worksheet will be issued either through LIMS or manual, depending upon whatever the systems in place in the organization. An instrument will be prepared as per the approved method and specification. The sample is presented to the instrument. Now, this is where it will generate a data. Now, based on this data, there will be decisions made, whether it is accepted, rejected, or is there a OOS. So that's why it is very important how good is the data is. And that assurance will only come through analytical quality assurance. So what is the one important point I wanted to bring in here is, see, today the buzzing word in the pharmaceutical industry is digitalization, pharma 4, computerization. We can speak as many words as possible, automation, but still there is a human intervention in certain processes that we cannot automate. Even if you automate, still there is a residue of human intervention. Now this human intervention causes significant impact either on data integrity, either it is for whatever reason. So that element needs to be looked at very clearly, carefully, and see how it is possible to detect if there is any error happened at where there is a person intervention. So what are the elements will support or complement analytical quality assurance? First of all is the people, analyst, or whoever associated with the laboratory operations. Then the services and utilities, environment, cleanliness classification is the key. Temperature and humidity, we can list them as many. Materials, reagents, instruments, equipments used in the laboratory, cleaning and sanitization, hygiene practices, waste management, containment of the waste, deactivation of the waste, especially the live cultures and pathogens handled in the microorganisms, storage of these samples, reserve sample, retention sample, because all these things needs to be preserved for a certain predefined duration. These are the regulatory requirements. So what is important? It has to be maintained in an environment where it is supposed to be as specified by the manufacturer or a label claim. And nonetheless, pharmaceutical quality systems such as pharmacopoeia, SOPs, logbooks, STPs, specification, trainings, OOS, OOT, deviation, change control, CAPAs, effectiveness of CAPAs, internal audit. We can keep listing them. The list grows and grows. And the data governance and data integrity. So all these principles together, we will be able to demonstrate analytical quality assurance. So these are all the support elements. Why analytical assurance is important? In pharmaceutical, it is always a patient first principle, isn't it? Always it is a patient first. So to treat the patient, pharmaceutical manufacturer with a group of pharmacy professionals like us manufacture pharmaceutical products, various pharmaceutical products. And these gets tested before administering to patient. So when it is getting tested, what is important is this test result should have an analytical assurance, meaning analytical assurance serves as a bridge between assuring product quality and patient safety. So how to assure that? What are the pillars which can help us to maintain the analytical assurance? The accuracy of the data. How accurate is the data is? Is the system calibrated? Is the system qualified? Is the method validated? Is the analytical method transfer done? Was the weighing done properly? Is there the raw data? Is there evidence? Accuracy. Complete. Is the data complete? Is there an OOS in that analysis? Is the OOS cross-referred in the result? Data should be complete. Who did the analysis? When was it done? Which balance was used? Which HPLC was used? These all should be traceable. And data should be truthful. Meaning, there are quite a few operations where it is manually read and record. That's a simple, there is no, let's say, assume that someone is recording the room temperature and humidity. Though there is advanced technology, still there are industries where, it is common to read and record few readings. It's common, it's acceptable. It is nothing against any GMP. But the only thing is, depending upon the criticality, it has to be assessed, and there should be, we need to put an alternative control to detect if any human error happened in that manual observation. So recording the right reading what is observed is the key. And don't test till pass. And the reliable. With all these elements, we will assure analytical quality assurance, meaning this accuracy, complete, truthful and reliable. They becomes the pillars of this analytical quality assurance. Now the pillars cannot be on standalone, isn't it? We need a strong foundation underneath. So this GMP, GXP, pharmaceutical quality system and data integrity elements provides a strong foundation for these pillars, so that our bridge of analytical assurance becomes strong day by day, and we can establish and demonstrate product quality and patient safety. This is how a GMP pharmaceutical quality system, data integrity and analytical quality assurance is integrated into our pharmaceutical environment. And moreover, then to make sure is the industry following the required systems and implementing it rightly, we will have a GMP inspection. Either it is internal inspection or external regulatory authorities. That is how the entire system works in the industry. Let's look at some of the critical fundamental elements. Now I'm jumping into the pure technical topics, right? So the glassware, there is no analysis without glassware in the laboratory. So these are some of the key glasswares which are used for quantitative analysis. So when looking at the glassware, you ask anyone, what are the types of glassware we use? Everyone say class A and B. Yes, it is very popular. But there is one class here, class A, yes. Has anyone heard about it from the audience? Any guess what is class AS? Has anyone seen class AS glassware? Maybe we'll discuss when there is a session of interaction. So point here is the class A and B are very popular, and we know A is highest accuracy and B is less accurate. It's true. No issue. I'm not questioning. But there is one class called as class AS. We use it very widely in the industry, but awareness is very, very unlimited. So what is the difference between A and AS, and why it is important to know? A and AS have both high accuracy and they have same accuracy. But what is important to know, if it is not known very clearly, these could become a potential cause for the OIS, and it could go undetected. So what is AS? When S stands for swift delivery, meaning there is certain waiting period after dispensing the volume, meaning that glassware has been calibrated to dispense calibrated volume to that accuracy only after waiting for that specified time. That is why it is very important to know, is it A or AS? So it is calibrated to deliver that volume after that specified time. So that waiting time is very critical. That is why it is very important to know usage of the glassware, so that these things are trained and awareness has been brought within the team. Next thing is, on the glasswares, we normally see the color coding. What is the purpose of this color coding? What does it signify? Is there a thought on this? This color coding is not for aesthetic purpose. It is not to publish someone's brand. It is as per ISO standard. So what does it signify? It signifies, is this pipette is meant to be used with the flow out or blow out? Meaning, if it is used incorrectly, the potential source of OS, meaning the pipette which is calibrated to be flow out, which is normally with a one ring, which etched with TD and used for aqueous solutions, meaning a flow out pipette is not meant to blow out. Whereas a pipette with a multiple rings is meant to be blow out to take out the last drop. Imagine now, if it is not used correctly, this could cause a potential contribution to the OS. These are the very fundamental basic elements. And this, even though I have 25 years experience, I'm not shy to admit, I just realized it 2 years back. That too, someone insisted me to the training for the laboratory, GMP training. And I'm not a person worked in the laboratory. I'm a manufacturing and technical person. But even the team said, no, I want you to do. Then what is it? I have to learn myself. So I thought educating myself. I referred, I read through the publications, manufacturer literatures, PDA technical reports, ISP. I tried to get back to the basics. These are the learning. Then when I discussed with some pharmaceutical experience quality personnel, it appears that the awareness is very poor. Then I thought, these are the things which we need to discuss more in the industry, more with the people, so that, back to basics. Like I said, high-end information is floating around, their abundance information. But the fundamental basic things is missing. Even I wish such elements should have been part of the pharmaceutical curriculum. I'm not sure, is it part of the curriculum now, but when I was a student, I don't remember studying these things. Though we handled, I'm not sure if I was absent for the class on that day, and if I missed it, I'm not sure. Then these glasswares are made up of what material of construction, and why it is important to know. Normally, these laboratory glasswares are made up of either borosilicate glass or soda lime glass. Why it is important to know? The question to ask is, okay, we are buying a class A glassware. Can it retain its accuracy throughout its lifetime? Is the question. So, how to address it? What does the standard say? This is the information from the ASTM standard. What does it say? A borosilicate glassware holds its calibration indefinitely, but there is a T and C apply. See, this is a very catch. T and C apply. That is all the crux of the story is in the T and C. That's why we have to see what is that T and C. It says not heated over 150 degree and not exposed to certain acids, then only it will retain its accuracy throughout its lifetime. And the frosting is a common problem with the glassware. They frost. So though they retain the accuracy throughout its lifetime, the standard recommends once in 10 years these glasswares needs to be calibrated. The 10 years for borosilicate. Whereas soda lime, it is less resistant to temperature. Maximum temperature it can be exposed is a 90 degree. And standard recommends at least once in 5 years it needs to be calibrated. But now it is nice to say, it is very difficult to manage this program. First of all, these glasswares are not numbered with unique number. So how will you identify which is calibrated, which is not calibrated, even if someone wants to put a program? That is where we need to put a risk-based approach on managing these glasswares so that, our accuracy is not under question. This is how a frosty glassware looks like. I hope the image is clear, that it's become very cloudy. So now what is the impact? It is not an aesthetic issue. It has a significant impact on accuracy of the volume. So what has to be done? On time to time, one has to revisit. There should be a checklist-based system. Check all the glasswares and take out such glasswares from use. Then the scratches on the glassware. I'm not surprised. When we walk through the washing area in the laboratory, the brush which is used is a wire brush. And what happens? When we apply the pressure mechanically, it will create scratches. Now, what is the impact of the scratches? Again, the accuracy is under question. It will impact the accuracy. See, this is a very small element. Things could go undetected, and if you neglect it, and it will result into serious OIS and things totally go undetected. So, what is the remediation there? One needs to use a very soft brush which are meant for the glass. There's no rocket science. These are the fundamental things. Looking at the water for the laboratory. When coming to the water for pharmaceutical manufacturing, there are a lot of guidelines. Pharmacopoeia has a monograph. USP has a monograph on purified water. USP has a monograph on the water for injection, or EP, BP, IP has a monograph. But when coming to the laboratory water, it's a bit of a gray area. What I meaning, there are some standards which dictate what are the grade of water to be in the laboratory. So intended purpose of this water in the laboratory, in manufacturing sector are different. A totally different intended purpose. In quality control laboratory, water should be pure, free from impurities which does not interfere the analysis. That is what is the fundamental element. Whereas in manufacturing, the product quality and patient safety and contamination is the point. So we have to look at what is the intended purpose of this here. So then we need to address it accordingly. So laboratory water should be treated as a reagent. So there are two standards which states what are the different grades of water required in the lab. One is ISO standard, second is ASTM. The ISO standard classifies laboratory grade water in grade 1, 2, 3, and ASTM standards classifies water into type 1, 2, 3, 4. With the both, the type 1 becomes more pure chemically and by organic and inorganic impurities. When coming to microbiology purposes, we need to look at the intended purpose and use the suitable water. Meaning, if water is used for endotoxin testing, then it should be BET free. If water is tested for sterility testing, it should be sterile before use. So these are the additional requirements. So as per ISO standard, for the HPLC purposes, grade 1 quality of water needs to be used. whereas grade 3 is normally used for washing of the glassware, calibration of the glassware, and preparing the reagents. So these are the different grades of water to be used in the laboratory. Not just because we use purified water and water for injection in the manufacturing, same thing we use in the laboratory, not necessary. It depends upon intended purpose and can the impurities interfere with the analysis. So these are the two standards which needs to be referred to. Then, beside accuracy is one of the key elements coming to the laboratory analysis in the assuring the analytical quality assurance. So how to assure that? It is to the whole set of qualification processes. The qualification process starting from the writing a URS, user requirement specification, specifying what is required, then looking at the design qualification, installation qualification, operational qualification, performance qualification, all these are the different stages of qualification to see is that instrument or equipment fit for intended purpose. And depending upon the sensitivity of the instruments used in the laboratory, a pH meter needs to be verified by using the calibrated reference standard or solution prior to use. That is because of the sensitivity of the electrode, etc. Whereas coming to a balances, it needs to be calibrated on daily basis because there is no manufacturing or analysis, no activity or a production happens in a pharmaceutical environment without balances and weights. If there is any accuracy error, it will have a significant impact on product quality and patient safety. So, coming to the analytical balance, there are specific, this is driven by pharmacopoeia, things are very clear. There's a USP monograph 41 and 1251, European Pharmacopoeia monograph, then there's a EDQM guideline, which provides a very detailed requirement on managing these balances in the life cycle, which we need to look at and apply. So some of the key attributes, quality attributes or parameters which needs to be taken into consideration for the balances are testing repeatability, minimum sample weight, accuracy, eccentricity, linearity, etc. One important point here is when we say minimum weight, some of the balances, they specify the minimum weight. So we cannot blindly assume that as a minimum sample weight. It needs to be established based on the method and procedure specified in pharmacopoeia, and there is a specific criteria, so we have to fulfill all those requirements. Coming to the weights, we use the weights for verification of the balances on daily basis. Now, what standard regulates the accuracy? What are the different classes of weights? We will have class M, F, E. These are the different classes. And this OEMS standard regulates what are the accuracy tolerance for different classes of weights. So when we look at the weights, it is very important to see it belongs to which class. And the standard also specifies which class of weight is appropriate for which class of balance. Other important function of laboratory, like I said, is sampling of raw materials. So as per WHO, which is published in 2005, for sampling there are 3 plans, N, P, and R. These are the 3 methods. Now what is important here is N plan is not recommended. That is what the guide says, WHO guide, and not statistically based. But it is still common to find this N plan in the industry. We see them. Though the guideline was written in 2005. So point is, N plan is nothing but root N plus 1, and it is not recommended, not statistically based. The plan which needs to be followed for sampling is P plan and R plan. That is 100% sampling and inspection for identification, depending upon source of the material. Is it a well-known source or unknown source? You can look at this example if the time permits later, but important to note here is N plan, root N plan is not recommended, not to follow. Either it is P or R. And there is no discrimination whether it is a API or IP or excipient. All are materials. All have a significant impact on quality. And the few tragedies which are recurring from 1975 not new. Though we are advancing so much in the industry and quality systems and risk assessment and so much advancement, even this year, early year, the death of children because of unsafe medicines, what we produce. That is where I fail to understand the balance between this quality system and what we really produce. And it is resulting in the death. Very sad. So why it is? Somewhere there is some the data integrity loophole gone undetected, and also it is still there is no clear report gets published. What is the story here? We can see, okay, are we getting any similar scenarios in our area? These things are very gray areas. We only look at this news, that news, and make out our story, okay, looks like these are the root causes. And even I approached WHO to get what is the root cause for these events. Can you give us some reports? They only say, no, these are the incidents. You contact your local authorities. No, these are the things. That is where it makes me very sad. Though we think about so much advancement in this process and quality systems and day by day improvements, but one hand, the products are killing the people. That is what makes me very unhappy and sad. And that is what, as a pharmacist, we should keep up to our oath. I think we took a oath in the when we did study in one of our curricula. We should stick to that, and even it mustn't go to that extent. And it's recurring. It is not one incident. Look at WHO trial. It happened from 1970. 200 died, 300 died. It's only publication. There's no clarity. Anyway, we can talk on a separate session due to the time constraint. And the sampling, it has to be sampled under a sampling booth, under a containment to minimize the risk of cross-contamination. Containment is the key element here. We don't want the cross-contamination. So there should be a proper personnel flow, material flow, sampling booth to contain the contamination. This is how a sampling booth and dispensing booth look like. And coming to the packaging material, it is driven by ISO standard for sampling of packaging materials. Let's look at some of the hot burning issues. You can see this, that FDA 483 came, and here is the observation. Now, one important point, irrespective of whether the product is marketed to US or Europe or whichever country, the product is administered to a patient, ultimately. That is the bottom line. To me, it doesn't matter it is which country this product is exported to, or am I using it in my local country. Doesn't matter. It's used for treat a patient for a purpose. So this GMP elements of fundamental things should be part
Paisa?
of.
Rajesh Paisa? I really understand that. My apologies for this, and we'll give you another 2 minutes to wrap up around the session. We know that it's inconvenient, so if you could please wrap around the session.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so data integrity elements, what are the key data integrity issues we find is falsification of the data, deletion of the data, the laboratory personnel having access to privilege of administrator rights. So these things has to be left separate from the personnel who don't have interest on the data and doesn't engage with the day-to-day activities. So these are some of the fundamental data integrity issues. Okay, since we are running out of time, I just want to wrap up the session here and end the session. Anyway, I've left the content. If someone would like to explore, I'm more than happy to share the contents with them. But due to the time constraint, I will wrap up the session. Thank you once again for giving me the opportunity, and thanks for listening to me. And due to the time constraint, I will wrap up this session now. And congratulations to the Honorable S.M. Mudda sir for receiving this award of the GMP 2024. This is well-deserved, sir, and your contribution to the industry is truly inspiring. Thank you.
So thank you very much, sir, for sharing all the fundamental related to the glass, various types of glass, balances, as well as various packaging materials, and also the APIs and excipients to get a quality product. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.
We are running behind the schedule, so because of this, we'll take all your questions later. We move on to the next speaker, but before that, I would like to extend a memento to Dr. Snehalata Madam. May I request Dr. Srinath to come over to the dais and present a memento as a token of appreciation to our chairperson. And Sir Rajesh Pai sir, you are our online guest. We extend a heartfelt appreciation to your talk, and again I tender my apologies for not giving you the time slot which you actually were given. So thank you, sir. Thank you for all that support. Moving on to the next speaker. Let me invite, we already have our chairperson on the dais. That's Dr. A. Srinath, who is a professor and head Department of Pharmaceutics at National College of Pharmacy, Shimoga. Dr. Srinath pursued his postdoctoral research at University of Mississippi, USA, and he is the proud recipient of Professor M.L. Khurana Memorial Award. Sir, may I request you now to introduce our esteemed speaker, P.V. Malya, sir, and after which we would be breaking for lunch session. Now, my delegates, please make a note of this. The lunch would be served immediately after P.V. Malya, sir's talk. Thank you for your cooperation. Over to you, sir.
Very good afternoon. As we are running behind the schedule, I will take only a few minutes to discuss or talk about our speaker today. We have Prakash V. Malya. He is a professor and director at Krupanidhi College of Pharmacy. He is going to talk about global regulatory landscape, key challenges and strategies for pharma. He is an experienced personnel in the pharma industry. He has rich experience of over 35 years. An alumni of Manipal, pursued MS in School of Pharmacy, University of Pacific in California. Worked with many leading pharmaceutical industries, to name a few like Reddy's, Ranbaxy, etc. Without taking much time, I would like to hand over the stage to Professor Malya.
Thank you. Question?
आणि तू हंगे narrow down केल्यारे slides will change sir.
Okay.
तितलें sir. Just arrow down.
Arrow down.
Okay sir.
खंयची हे माईक होय?
खंयचे mics? दोन्ही mics आहेत.
दोन्ही अंत उलो येतो.
दोन्ही अंत उलो येतो.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for inviting. Thanks everybody. I have both industry and academic experience. I'm one of the rare persons who will be here, who will be talking both from the industry as well as from the academic. During my career, I've been to around 65 countries all over the world because that was the time when we didn't have the digital systems. So we did not even have video conferencing. So I had to personally go to many countries and do the regular. Today's topic is a little different, like you saw that from GMP, but it is very much integrated to the cGMP concept, the regulatory concept. And presently, you know, one of the highest job availabilities are in this field of regulatory science. Now, the key challenges, because I was very much part of this during Dr. Reddy's time, and why it is so historically important is because that time I was the first, one of the 3 top regulatory persons in India. Because we did not have the digital system, nobody knows about what we have achieved. But we crossed the regulatory barriers. The first ANDAs were filed during my time in Dr. Reddy's labs. So I wanted to share this with the students, what we are coming from. We are not coming from GMP and we are not coming from any other, but we are coming from the most difficult time to which now India is number 3 in the world. See, India was considered once upon a time during my growth phase in the industry as LCD, which means least developed country, LDC, least developed country. And our ranking was somewhere beyond 70s and 80s. Now we have come to number 3. So you saw the journey, how it has come. For India, it had been a difficult journey, especially when I grew up in the industry, that is in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Later on in the 90s, the industry took off. So I'll quickly go through some of my slides because of time constraint as well as the audience constraint. But I'm sure that many of you will be losing a lot on what I'm going to say. So I have no time here. Time given is just about 40 minutes or maybe less than that. So I'll be talking about the introduction, the challenges, the key challenges for Indian pharma to go into the global regulatory compliance, what lessons we learned from the best practices acquired, the case studies, and future trends in pharma, and key issues for pharma industry. How do we operate this? So I have a disclaimer because coming from 1976, so there are a lot of things which I have seen in the industry, which I want to, which might project me. So these are my own creations and things of my own. So when I was in the regulatory department of the Dr. Reddy's labs, we were just about to enter the global scenario, and there was no regulatory before I came. Before me, there was no regulatory. We are talking about the mid-80s and later part of 90s and now up to 2024. We didn't have any regulatory systems like that. And when we went to the FDA, they said that we can deal with only one window. That is, if you have a regulatory system, then we'll deal with you. So the first times when we went to US FDA, it was becoming really difficult to interact with them. They said, we cannot deal with many departments. We need one department in your, and then Dr. Anji Reddy, who is the founder of Dr. Reddy's Labs, personally called me and told me to take over this because I'll be able to negotiate with the FDA. And that's how we came. And maybe the first 3 persons in India to be in the regulatory department, okay? So it's, the pharmaceutical scenario now can be considered as like what the morning speakers spoke about, good, bad, and ugly. The good part is India is good. Now it has become a great in pharmaceutical, having achieved the position of number 3 in volume terms. We are still not, because of economically priced medicines, we are still not into that space of high volume and high value. But we have the best of the manufacturing facilities. And if you see the manufacturing facilities in the world, they are comparable to the rest of the world. And in fact, one of the speakers said that we have more than USA in terms of highly regulated, inspected, audited plants and FDA-approved plants. So many of them, of these plants, which I, as a disclaimer, I'm not supposed to keep on claiming who did what and all that. So a general talk on this. This is the good part of the Indian system. The bad part is what happened even last week and before that, many incidences of drugs which did not cross crucial CDSO tests, and they failed. And in fact, they were very important medicines which were used for generations, like paracetamol and medicines like that. This is the bad part. And the ugly part is The Bottle of Lies, which is a book written by Catherine Eban, which I read very extensively. And this specifically speaks about the most iconic company of India. In the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, until it got banned from US FDA, there was a whistleblowing incident which happened with a person who was an Indian but based in the US division of Ranbaxy. Dinesh Thakur, I believe his name is. So he blew up what was going on bad about Ranbaxy data integrity and what all things came up. Now I can speak about Ranbaxy because it's no longer existing. So they spoke about this, and suddenly the FDA came on with hammer and tongs, and they knocked out Ranbaxy. The #1 iconic company for nearly 4 decades, simply wiped out of the pharmaceutical map. So that is what is about the ugly part of the good, bad, and ugly. And the ugly part is also about, you know, what is happening every day. We see spurious drugs, we see counterfeit drugs. So that is the ugly part. There's not only just the good part of pharmacy, but there is also that ugly and the bad part of pharmacy. So a drug becomes a medicine when a product registration is given, it's approved and granted. Only then. Until then, it's a drug. See, many of us do experiment, even the US FDA, to take drugs which are still under the pipeline, and it has not yet been approved. But FDA clearly says that we have to take a product registration and approval, and only then it becomes a medicine. It doesn't become a drug. An experimental drug is not to be taken as per the guidelines and protocols given by FDA. See, on an estimate, I'm just coming quickly to all these things without explaining much, because the main thing is about the challenges which the Indian regulatory people face when they go to the higher countries. So an estimated, according to the Tufts University, this is a center in US which deals with the Center for Study of Drug Development. And it estimates the cost, and it estimates the timeline for developing a generic drug as well as a innovator and a branded drugs. So the new drug discovery and development, the estimated cost is $2.6 billion. Okay? It's not in millions, it is in billions. And the time to develop is 10 to 15 years. That is the estimate which is given by Tufts University. Even the generic drugs, which we Indians are good at, that also takes a little bit of time, but the cost is a little lesser in India. As you can see here, in the USA, the cost is around $1 to $5 million. It takes around 3 to 4 years. And same in India, and why India is considered as the economical part of the pharmacy lab is because we manufacture drugs at much lesser price, and we can afford to sell it economically to the rest of the world. I'll touch upon it a little later. So India is the center of all these activities, where yet with all these things of development and so many testing which it goes through US FDA and the various other regulatory agencies, yet we have drug recalls. And that is a sad part of it. Even established drug like ranitidine, which was used for so many decades, was recalled because of the NDMA issue, which causes carcinogens, pro-carcinogens. So between 2 and 15, again by Tufts University, I got this record, between 2015 and 2023, there were about 4,000 to 6,000 drugs which are recalled, which were approved by US FDA. Can you get that figure? It's a huge, huge amount of drugs which have gone into the market. It has gone through the phase 4, and then it has gone through all the pharmacovigilance and various other activities. And yet, even after that, they could find something problem with the drugs, and they had to be recalled. Examples are there of the coxib family, the pioglitazone and the glitazone family, and then even drugs like isotretinoin have been withdrawn from drug market. And then we have this famous example of ranitidine. Almost all of us, I'm very sure, have taken ranitidine at one point in our time. And then you see, we suddenly hear that it has been, but I don't know whether it is still yet banned or not in India, but in many advanced countries, it's still banned. Major issues are connected with the safety, with the manufacturing issues, with labeling errors. I'm not going into details because of time constraint. Important contamination and potency and stability problems with the drug manufacturing. So regulatory balances both these science. Now to go a little bit into the regulatory journey. So in fact, the regulatory journey started somewhere in the 1990s. So it's a recent phenomenon when regulatory work came into the scenario in a big way. 1990 was called as early regulatory affairs era. 1990 to 2000, we had reforms and expansion. And then 2000-2020, in the present generation that we are, that is the modern regulatory era. And India has thrived in the third quarter of this diagram which I'm showing you. So we had, in the early 90s, we had domestic focus more on the internals because we could not go, we had not crossed the regulatory barrier. We did not have US FDA as a pre-approval inspection. We did not have MHRA coming in here. At best, we had something like MCC South Africa coming here, and that was the highest of the regulatory bodies of that time in the 70s, 80s, and who we thought was going to be a big market. But then many other hurdles like US FDA had come, and we had to do a lot of work on that. Sorry? Then institutions like CSIR and IDPL was formed. And now IDPL also is not functional anymore. We had a lot of government support at that time. And then in the 1990 to 2000, we had the economic liberalization under Manmohan and Ramarao government. And then in 1995, we had the GATS and TRIPS agreement, which changed the scenario for the regulatory systems in India. And we had a lot of FDA and MOH audits and inspection. And this is the era when we first saw exports in a growth, to including countries like Russia. And then we had international recognition. Now is the era, the third one, where we are now, the whole scenario changed on the behalf of the Indian pharma industry. So this is the era which is important to understand. That started in the year 2000, and it goes on, and it will go on till somebody said Vikshit Bharat, and so many other eras will come. We have product patents. We had product patent. Until then, we had process patents, but then suddenly product patent come. And then we had to go into the real regulatory fights with the rest of the world. Then we had our main drug control agency, that is CDSCO, and Schedule M revised. This made some little bit of changes. We had regulatory compliance and a lot of R&D investment and a lot of tie-ups between Indian and foreign multinational corporations. And then India now doesn't look back at all. So now we have generic leadership as well as we have biosimilar growth going together. Moving fast forward, we know why India is called as a laboratory world and the pharmacy of the world, because we are the largest generic manufacturer of medicine in the world. We are the most economical. We don't normally call it cheap drugs. We have to call it economical. We have to give pharmaceutical a lot of respect. So we call it as an economical drug, not as a cheap drug. Cheap drug means drugs cannot be cheap. So we call it, we are the most economical. We have the highest number of plants which are US FDA approved. And today one of the speakers on the dais, I think it was Harish Jain, who said that we are more than the US FDA. So even US, which is supposed to be the #1 country, it has lesser number of US FDA approved plants than India. So you see where India is reached now. Why are we called as the pharmacy of the world, or why are we called as a laboratory of the world? And finally, we know during the COVID vaccine era that India really hit it back to the world. And even when there was a huge amount of cry that where COVID will go to the poorer and less developed countries, it was India who came to the rescue. And a lot of good points about Indian pharmaceuticals, went skyrocketing. And India then never looked back. I mean, it was much before that, but COVID also gave us an impetus. 60% of the world's vaccine is manufactured in India. Okay, so that is something like the speaker previous, I think, Dr. Parmeshwaram, he had told that you are in a very good era. You are in an excellent era where, now things are really looking up. During our time, even with the passport, I was held up in many airports, just because I had an Indian passport, okay? We were considered as economic migrants. We were considered as economic migrants. That means we were going to different countries only to earn money and may earn money from the local peoples. But now we are called as the intellectual migrants. That's a huge lot of difference. that is coming in your era, okay, as students, let me tell you. Intellectual migrants are different from economic migrants. Intellectual migrants means we are recognized that we are welcome to any countries. Now you go with an Indian passport, you are always welcome in every country. Not were the days I went when I was traveling in the 80s and 90s. Every airport internationally I was stopped. And they would say, gentlemen, step aside, and ask me 100 of questions why I'm coming there. Now it has changed. So India has got a great name in itself. Now one thing which nobody talked about so far, and I'm surprised a little bit like that, is that we are now going to an era which is called as GCC. GCC is not Gulf Cooperation Council, Dubai and Abu Dhabi and all that. GCC means we are the global capability centers. This is the era we are entering. This is the era where you are entering. And this is the era where you'll see why we are respected as a pharmaceutical and a healthcare capital of the world. Okay? This is the center where there we will be having, see so many, I attended one meeting here a couple of months back, you know, when we had the CEOs, a number of companies attending. We had people attending from Novartis, we had from, this Novo Nordisk, and then we had from, the Monsanto and Shiva Padmanabhan. And then we had the one from, what is that, Raja Janakamli, who's the Information Solution of India. These are all GCC heads in India now. And it seems now we are half of the global capacity centers of the world are located in India, okay? And even now, just a few days back, there was an announcement made in Karnataka itself by the Dr. Priyanka Kharge, who is the IT minister. He said there will be 500 GCC centers in the lab, and so many jobs will be created. Now, what does all this mean is that this is the, and in pharma, GCC is going to be a big center where things will just look up, and there'll be so many, enriched jobs which will be available. And it also goes to the credit of the Bangalore, Novo Nordisk team, which launched the biggest blockbuster in the world, called Ozempic and Wegovy. One is used for diabetes, and the other one is used for obesity. So these are the bigger blockbuster, bigger than the atorvastatins. And they said that many of these jobs were undertaken, and finally the last mile race was run from the Novo Nordisk Center in Bangalore in Whitefield. So they had a whole ecosystem of, this is part of GCC. This is also part of GCC. Now coming to the main points here, I'll quickly finish this also. Key challenges for India pharma generics. During our time, there were 3 types of entry strategies which we were making in the world in the mid-80s and all that when we started exploring the world. We had basically the PESIL analysis, we had what is called as Porter's 5 analysis, and we had what is called a SWOT analysis, the strength, weakness, opportunity, and plan. Now 3 more are added to that, which we call as a scenario planning, the health technology assessment, HTAs, and we call as a risk management assessment. So these are the 6 groups of technologies which we use to enter into any kind of geographies in the world, the Indian pharma companies. So what are how when we meet, how do we regulate? We say highly regulated, moderately regulated, and we are non-regulated companies. So we are dividing the whole the world into different regulatory groups, the highly, the semi, and the non-regulated. What we do as the challenges, as we progress from the desktop till the actual world situation in the world, we talk about things like regulatory landscape analysis. We talk about market selection and prioritization, where we talk about the target market identification and risk assessment when you go to the different countries. We talk about regulatory strategy development, then the intellectual property, which is very important when we go into the rest of the world. We have to first see whether we have the landscape of how patents are regulated in those countries. Similarly, strategic filing based on, especially in US, we have the paragraph 4 filing along with the ANDAs. So then we have bioclinical studies which have to be done. Every country has got different rules of bioequivalence. Sometimes through CTD, we can capture a number of countries. But otherwise, even a small country like Thailand, they had different regulation of bioequivalence, and they also had clinical trials to be done. Even if we do it anywhere else and which has gone through FDA, they say we have to do clinical trials again in country like, and there was some lot of what you call countries in Southeast Asia which were insisting on local clinical trials. That's again a way of making their Ministry of Health a little bit of money. Then we have a most important thing that we are talking, why do we meet today, is of cGMP. Okay, these are part of the manufacturing and quality compliance. And one more other important attributes which we have to look into is the supply chain management, which talks about the APIs and sourcing of excipients and things like that, the world, whether it is available. So India does not have that problem in terms of generics because all these things are manufactured in India due to vertical integration right from APIs, and even before that, things are gone right up to the post-approval and the phase 4 trials. Then we have another system called regulatory submission and approval, where we have to increase our efficiency in process and be proactive in communication with the FDA and all the Ministry of Health. We do not have to see them as an inspectors. We have to see them as our friends, and we can collaborate with them, and we can move forward. Otherwise, if we take a stand and they also take a stand, then when our approval system goes haywire and we cannot get into the world. Then we have strategic partners in many countries. Indian generic companies have done partnership with the local companies, okay? Like for instance, in Dr. Reddy's, they had with Teva, UCB, and many other companies after that. Many of the products were given to multinational for developing because the most costliest part of drug development is the clinical part. So they gave it to the foreign companies. When I was there, we were trying with some Swiss companies and some European countries. Then market access and pricing strategy. This comes under a system called health technology assessment, which gives the cost effectiveness of drugs, especially in a European Union. You see, there is 27 countries there. And there, every country has got different kind of pricing and reimbursement system. So both this HTA as well as reimbursement has to be taken into consideration in pricing strategy. So it's not easy to go there. Even after approval, there are still a lot of things to be done as far as regulatory is concerned. Then we have regulatory intelligence continuous improvement. So we have to have a team of monitoring our products in those countries. See, it's just not enough to just launch a product in a country through the marketing division. But even before that, we have a regulatory team which looks into the regulatory intelligence, that who are the competitors, what is the government system of regulation, what are the rules which are changing. So for the next product, either you give it as for the same product, you give it as an amendment, or you can give it in the next product onwards right from a full form CTD. Then we have many Indian companies, like, at least I can name first few who have gone into the world regulatory system in a big way. We have Ciplas, we have Sun Pharmas, we have Cadilas, we have Lupins, we have various other companies which have gone. Dr. Reddy's Labs is one of the pioneers in that. And we had many other more before that, but some of them on the way have been eliminated because of their data integrity problems. So finally, what happens is the data analytical part, the regulatory part, and operational analytics, they are all filtered out, and then it goes into a full form strategy for going into the world. We evaluate, integrate, focus, and disseminate the data, and it is handed over to our different departments. We have the senior management, we have the marketing and regulatory department, and we have the finance department. And even after that, finally we go into and step into the world. So regulatory system itself is not just approval, forming of CTDs, and going through the FDA or the local ministry. It is a whole lot of process. Even after approval, there is so many things to do in the regulatory department. One case study before I go is about Dr. Reddy's labs, because this is the place where I worked for nearly about 15 years. And that too, I was in the prime time. That is the time when regulatory came into India, okay? So really there was a lot of learning to do, right from filing. I went to US at least 10 to 15 times during the ANDA submission, because we did not have electronic system of ANDA, or we did not have electronic CTDs, but we had to physically go. And how do we go there? Because we tied up with 3 or 4 companies in US, and we opened an office in Ridgewood, New Jersey. So we had to go there to US. I myself went there and took the files along with me. And that is how three companies of that time, Dr. Reddy's, Ranbaxy, and Cadila. Cadila, again, we have a person who's from here, this location, called Ganesh Naik. So he's my contemporary in the industry. So we 3 went to US FDA, and for the first time, can you believe that we brought US FDA into India? Before that, they had come only for APIs. But for finished formulation, first time they came to India, okay, in the early 1990s for generic formulations. Reddy's was part of that. I was part of this company, so I know what happened during that time. So as far as regulatory of Dr. What is the success story in the US market or the rest of the world is that they had a lot of ANDA submissions. Initially, it was, the ordinary type of medicine. The first ANDA which was filed was ranitidine 75 milligrams. Then we had omeprazole 40 milligrams. So 10 and 20 were not there because it was still under, it had patented and it had not expired. So we went for 40 because we wanted exclusivity for 6 months. Then we went to fluoxetine. So all smaller molecules we took. And now Reddy's are going scaled up into a bigger event. They have gone into things like complex generics. I'll tell you a little bit more in the next slide. Then they had regulatory compliance with all the systems in the world. So they kept all these things ready to be attacked to the world. And then they had this very good relationship with FDA and the rest of the ministry. In fact, Reddy's is represented just in 30 countries. We have 220 countries in the world, but just in 30 countries, because the rest of the countries they don't want. They only want the cream, and they want to have a tough battle with the regulatory authorities. So they had to go to US FDA first. And how did they do it? They had nowadays they have a lot of complex generic molecules. So I'll just be talking about that. And as an outcome, they became the market leader. They had global expansion, and finally, they had innovation in complex generation. So the next generation of complex molecules which are coming out from Dr. Reddy's are inhalers and injectable, where is a drug-device combination. So not only the drug delivery, but also on how the delivery and whether the machine which delivers also. So there is a combination between drug as well as device. Both have to be approved with the US FDA. Then we had modified release formulation by DRL. You know what is modified release. Okay. DRL is working on various extended release and controlled release formulation. They have moved into liposomes and other complex APIs. And finally, they have complex route of administration like ophthalmic inhalation and injectables. So this is how, now the Indian companies are moving where there is no competition. So all the competition is very difficult. They don't go into with ordinary molecules anymore. At least the top 20 I know of. These companies, they go into various kinds of molecules where they feel as a niche market or they don't have any kind of competition. Finally, there were a lot of lessons learned. One is focus on compliance and quality. Second is have a regulatory intelligence, which is inbuilt into your system in the company. Then we go strategic acquisition with companies which are locally based or which have got general knowledge or multinational. And now with the coming of the GCC, we have capabilities where we can show all these talents in the rest of the world. Finally, leveraging technology for regulatory process to make it more tech savvy. So we do the technology embedded into the regulatory system. And global market diversification. These are the trends where Indian companies are looking for. And finally, the challenges to regulatory is something which your generation will have to tackle in the future. Our generation, that bar has been closed now. Now your generation has to look things like artificial intelligence and machine learning. We have blockchain technology. Then we have digital therapeutics. Some other time, maybe when I come here, I will be talking more details in how regulatory affects this kind of future trends and technologies. We have genomics and precision medicine, telemedicine and remote monitoring. So regulatory has challenges now. It is already ongoing, and there are a lot of GCCs which are centered around these technologies. So during your time, this is going to be a prime area where all your strengths in pharmaceutical will be tested. So you don't just have to look into courses which are given by the university, but you'll have to diversify into what is called as MOOCs, that is the multiple open online courses. You'll have to do a lot of work in that, and that you have to take independently from what you are giving in your syllabus from the university here or anywhere in the university in India. So it applies to everyone. Then we have nanotechnology, which is already coming into the market in a big way. We'll be talking about synthetic biology, wearable technology, and then we have virtual reality, cyber security, robotics, and automation is come in the industry in a big way. In one plant in Denmark, when I went, instead of 400 people, normally you see in India 400 people working in that plant. But in the Copenhagen, when I went to that plant of Novo Nordisk, they had just 40 people. When the person who accompanied me was showing me, he said, because we have robotized and automized the entire system. So whether it is going to be a challenge for the skilled labor or whether we let it take over just like computer did and look for newer opportunities coming through the system is what we'll have to look forward in future. So there are key issues for the pharmaceutical industry which are still remaining. I will take it up in another session, maybe not here, but issues like unmet medical needs. There are a lot of medicine yet to be discovered, especially in the cancer oncology section and neurodegenerative disorders and motor neuron conditions. We have regulatory harmonization which has not come about clearly, even though ICH is there, but it has not come about and not implemented in the rest of the world in a uniform way. Still systems are changing, especially when it comes to US FDA, and in Europe we have centralized, decentralized, mutual recognitions. Then we have social and ethical pressure. One comic example is that of Donald Trump, when he was the president of the US, when COVID hit the world, the pandemic. He came down heavily on Pfizer, and in fact, the CEO of Pfizer was taken to task by the president of US for saying that why haven't we launched COVID vaccines yet? So like that, imagine in India, various situations keep cropping up because political interferences. Then we have new product pipelines. Here we have another challenge called as pipeline attrition. okay? During the process of development, many of the products, we know about successful launches and successful products available in the market, but we don't know along the way how many molecules have been, just eliminated. This is called as attrition, pipeline attrition. So there is a lineup, and even the consolidation of big companies from various therapeutic segments to narrow therapeutic segments, this has come about in a big way. So that is called pipeline attrition. So that is a challenge for the regulatory systems in the future. Then we have, in spite of all these things I told you, between 4,000 to 6,000 recalls. So even after going through phase 4 and worldwide launch, imagine drugs have to be recalled after so many years. So, and we have, in the rest of the world, India is one unique nation, but in the rest of the world, we have skill power management, which is again going to be a challenge if we have to universalize pharmaceuticals. We have regulatory challenges, we have intellectual IPR challenges, we have capital market pressure, product life cycle management called as PLM, right from development to initial introduction to growth, maturity, decline, and then how do we have to, whether we have to cannibalize the product or whether we have to give it another rise in its maturity status and take that. Many multinationals do that by what is called as evergreening of the patents. Then we have transfer pricing, especially applying to European Union, where there are 27 countries, 27 different sometimes pricing, even though the centralized and decentralized procedure takes care of the regulatory, but in terms of pricing, there are variations, okay? And then we have product life cycle management, transfer pricing, emerging technologies which are going to come in the newer generation. And we have healthcare spending, which has come down because of aging population and newer what you call chronic diseases, and newer technologies which are more costly and non-affordable. So this becomes a challenge to the healthcare spending of, especially the hi-fi nations or the highly regulated nation or the rich countries. And finally, we have this thing which is unsolvable for the rest of the world, the counterfeit and the spurious medicines. So for this generation who are here, I'll give you a word which is called as chavi in India, key. What does it mean? Keep educating yourself. Regulatory. And today's conference theme of GMP, everything hinges around these 3 words. You'll have to keep updating and keep educating yourself all the time to learn the diverse of what the pharma domain is all about. Thank you. I had many things to discuss, but obviously things have gone.
Thank you, Professor Malya, sir.
Anyway, I'm here tomorrow,
Yeah.
so we have a session on panel discussion. If any questions are there, please ask you and your friends to ask us, and we'll get back to you on any questions you have. Okay.
Yeah, sir will be available even tomorrow. Any questions, you can ask him openly, and he is able to share his knowledge. It's very interesting to know that he has moved from industry to academics, which is the need of today, because that is where the key elements of the industry is inculcated into the academics. And he is the first 3 persons to start working on the regulatory affairs. That's very interesting. I would request you to applaud him for this achievement.
At that time, there was no digital system of knowing who is where. Okay, we were working in isolation.
Yeah.
This was in the mid-80s. Okay.
And he spoke the very challenging which we face, pharma industry will face in the future. What are the challenges today? Because from low developed country, we have moved into number 3. This all he has seen in his life. And he has spoken about what are the opportunities the students will have in the future also, looking into the robotics, artificial intelligence, and product development. Professor Malya, sir, thank you so much for sharing your insight knowledge on this. Thank you.
Thank you for this session. May I request Dr. Pramod from Sridevi College of Pharmacy to present a memento and a token of appreciation to our resource person, Professor P.V. Malya, sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing those inside stories and building and liaising between the industry and as well as academics. I also request, sir, we understand that, sir. Sir, thank you so much for all the support that you had lended. I request Pramod, sir, to stay back and offer a token of appreciation to our chairperson, Dr. A. Srinath. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, everyone. An important notice over here, your attention please. For the resource persons and chairpersons, the lunch will be provided in the 3rd floor in the very next hall. We have our faculty who would be escorting you, our volunteers escorting for your lunch. For delegates and other participants, lunch is served at the 2nd floor, and we will be assembling for poster session sharp at 2 o'clock at the 2nd floor. Thank you so much. See you soon.